Good evening, everyone.
Oh, are we all
How are
right?
we all doing this fine evening? Oh,
Just a
feel
quick one.
free
That
to.
intro, Phil, is sick. That is class.
I think, not a while ago, ages ago. Whether it says like I need to start doing like intro videos and outro video kind of things for it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I like that.
so,
That's class.
so, the AV Visions, Aviona, hey Craig, hey Paul, hey Amy, hey Dan. Another Dan. Or two Dans in chat. I get confused. So, hope you're all well and we all had a great weekend. Hopefully, I know I've had a really busy and great weekend. Certainly.
Yeah. I mean, all the days have rolled into one for me at the moment because, as you know, I'm on paternity leave. But it's just been non-stop. I'm busier at home than I am at work. Like, I'll be going back to work soon for a break.
That's it. Hey, Rebecca. Yeah, no, I've had, certainly busy with, show prep and then the show yesterday. And then today we went out and surprised my mum for her birthday, which was the other day with her going and getting her a Burmese brown tortoise.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
She ended up with two. So yeah, it's been a busy couple of days.
Yeah.
So that's good. Hey Jackie. So for people that are in chat that perhaps don't know who you are, we are joined by the wonderful Andrew Riddler Reptiles. But I do want to give yourself a bit of a quick introduction into who you are and what you do to the people that perhaps don't know you.
Yeah. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on, Phil. I appreciate you, mate. Thank you. And obviously everyone watching, thank you very much. So, well, yeah. I mean, I've been keeping reptiles. I mean, I had my first reptile when I was still living at home with my parents. That was over 12, 13 years ago now, but that was like a leopard gecko or two. And then between then and about 3 or 4 years ago, I had another leopard gecko here and there. But I've been doing it sort of properly as such for the last, I think I'd probably say about 3 years. It started off with a singular bearded dragon. Bearing in mind, my missus used to be terrified of reptiles, but it was her idea to get one, which was fine by me. And fast forward to now, and there's more than just a bearded dragon now. I'll tell you that much for free. I somehow managed to convince her to let me get a monitor lizard, which is my roughneck monitor Ragnar, who's my pride and joy. I adore that lizard. But I've got sort of a few things in between that. So I've got a few royal pythons, milk snake, who's my favorite snake that I currently own. She's incredible. I've got some of your, I guess you could call them smaller and more common species. So I've got a leopard gecko, crested gecko. I've got all sorts. And to be fair, I've got plans for more eventually. I am planning on building a bigger reptile room soon, very soon, in fact. Well, that didn't take long, did it? That didn't take long at all. God's sake. I mean, he's not wrong, to be fair. He's pretty much wrapped it up for me there. Yeah.
Right, well, that's the end of the stream. We're done.
That's it. No, I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be the Incredible Inverts podcast without saying that I've not got many inverts at the minute, but that is hopefully coming. At the minute, I've got a little jumping spider, which I was severely told off for getting. I know. I did have some Sungaya stick insects and a couple of little red millipedes. I don't anymore, unfortunately. But hopefully the next invert show, potentially the next reptile show, I'm 100% coming home with a giant African millipede. It's going to happen. I love them. I adore them. I'm just sort of not allowed one as such at the minute because to get to the utility room, my missus has got to walk through the reptile room, and there's that whole thing of she doesn't really want to see, or if they escape, which has happened, She's not really keen on the thing like that. But when the next reptile room is done, the only reason to go in there is if you want to go in there. So that's it. I'm allowed to basically do as I please, as long as it's not a tarantula or venomous.
There's a few questions from people about the stick insects of what happened to them. Did have stick insects.
Well, Vision's had a few.
You feed them off.
Vision's had a few off of me. The rest of the babies, I say the rest of them, it turns out there were some living in the room anyway, so I've still got some. The rest of them went up to north of the wall to Scotland to live with Michael, Longfield Reptiles and Aquatics. He said he wanted them for his daughters. Essentially, the enclosure that I built for them, the door sort of broke a little bit, so they kept escaping. And I thought at the minute I'll get some again in the future, but for now I've just sort of let someone else have them until I can sort of get a better enclosure or repair it, or money's tight at the minute. So I didn't want to sort of have them in anything substandard. And the millipedes, I'm not actually sure. They just sort of, I know they were doing really well. I don't know how long they live for, these ones, but a couple of them just.
The thing with millipedes, it very much varies on species, and some of them are far more specialized than what people think sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can go to a shop or a show and buy these millipedes, and at the show they might be being fed on some cucumber or whatever, and then you find out that one species only eats rotten wood kind of thing or whatever, or only eats this at the other, and won't eat fruit and veg and stuff. So, like, some of them, they're dead easy and dead simple, and will eat anything you chuck in, and some of them can be so specialist feeders, or you go, actually, 23 degrees and it's too hot for him, and you're like, oh damn, that sort of thing. With some.
That's definitely something I've got to be careful of, to be fair, because it's a conservatory that I'm converting. So obviously I don't want it to be the sort of, because at the minute it's one of those that in the winter it's very, very cold in there. In the summer it's very, very hot in there. So I'm just trying to balance that out. So I'm putting like reflective, almost like vinyl on the windows, so it's mirrored, and it doesn't let all the heat and UV in, and you can't see in and things like that. And then I'm insulating the roof but leaving the floor as it is. So I'm just sort of trying to get the balance. But yeah, hopefully it should be all right. But I am looking forward to hopefully getting the sort of space that I can get myself some inverts as well.
Yeah, I mean, I started off as a reptile person, complete reptile keeper and stuff, and then now in terms of private collection, it's purely inverts.
Yeah.
I still work with reptiles professionally as my day job, and reptiles will always be a part of my life. But my parents have all the reptiles and have all the ones that I did use, and I just passed them on to my parents when I moved here, and now my flat's filled with inverts.
Well, to be fair, when I saw you at the Taunton invert show, and you had those tubs of what were they? Because you had loads of babies in there. What were they?
I could be anything.
Because I think you had 2 tubs, and they were just full of babies. And you said to me afterwards how it was like you had to like basically separate them.
The Barralistis, the crab spiders. I literally bought at the show.
Yeah.
And I've still got over 100 of them left. Sort of thing. I ended up separating 240 of them. Sort of thing.
That's incredible.
240 little baby spiders. I've still got over 100 of them left.
Nice.
Sort of thing. With those things, some will eat each other and stuff, but that gets rid of the weaker ones and stuff. And some, with that sort of amount, you're always gonna have loads and stuff, and those things can produce multiple sacks off one mating as well.
All right.
So to a friend of mine who deals a lot with tree spiders, he not that species, but a similar species, he had 5 egg sacs off one female, and each one can contain sort of 100 or 200 eggs. So, to the point where it's like, no, this is enough. I don't need any more of you. Stop producing. So,
do you ever sometimes find, like in your house, just an invert or a spider or something that has just got
it's only happened, mainly with stick insects.
Oh, is it?
Sort of thing. At one point, I was keeping budwing stick insects, and I probably had over 2,000 of them. It was like babies, as much as I was selling them, it just wasn't making a dent in their population whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd open the enclosure and just have all these insects just running out everywhere. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I ended up not keeping that. I don't keep that species anymore because like that. This is just too much. Much.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, to be fair, it was similar with the Sungaias that I had. Like, the adults could not it was absolutely fine. The setup that I did, it was perfect. Like, because I say it was perfect. There was still a crack in the door. It was a little DIY thing that I did, but the adults couldn't get out.
Yep.
The babies could.
There's always a baby.
In actual fact, I think it's been probably about a month, if not a bit longer, since I moved the babies on. And I am still finding the occasional one in here every now and again that's just escaped and hidden amongst like all of this fake greenery and things like that. And I just go, oh, for God's sake, there's another one.
Yeah, no, yeah. So it's things like that, you know. I'll find the odd emerald roach somewhere as well sometimes.
Okay.
And then I'm like, no, you're really expensive. Come back. Yeah. When you get out.
They are cool, to be fair. They're a really cool species. They are. I've only seen them once, which was at the Taunton Invert show, but they're really quite, they're
very, very pretty
species. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I was meant to do a talk yesterday at the Invert show yesterday, on breeding the emerald roaches and stuff because I'm sort of one of the main people doing that at the moment.
Okay.
But unfortunately, when I got there, I got informed that the monitor for the PowerPoint that the person who runs that part of it, his cat had decided that it could do with a nice big crack in it. But it jumped and smashed the monitor. So it couldn't do PowerPoint. And I was like, oh, could perhaps try and scramble together a load of supplies from other traders that I know to like do a practical demonstration. But
yeah.
So I'm going to do the talk at the Wigan show instead of the Northwestern show.
All right, okay.
Instead, because mine was very sort of heavily PowerPointed of the breeding of emerald roaches and a basic guide to isopod husbandry.
All right, okay.
Another thing. So yeah, if you go into the Wigan show, hopefully they'll be going on there. So you get to see my talk there instead.
Yeah.
Hey, Donda.
Is that soon or?
That's in June.
Oh, right, okay.
So not too far. We've got the big show before that, actually, the BTS, the British Tarantula Society show, which is the largest show.
Okay.
Which train that got my trailer pass through today, which that's exciting because that is 250 tables.
Oh wow!
Over 100 traders.
Whereabouts is that one held?
Warwickshire.
Warwickshire. Okay.
Warwick Event Centre. That it's all inverts, it's not just tarantulas.
Yeah.
If you want to go to anything to do with inverts, go there.
Okay.
That is the biggest and best one.
Nice.
Kind of thing. Where people come from all around the world to go to it.
Oh wow! Okay, well, that's pretty cool.
And stuff for that one. So I know there'll be people coming over from Norway, the Netherlands. I think there's someone that comes to there from Israel. So
wow.
just to look round. You can't take stuff back. You just go have a nice day. Kind of thing.
Damn. Okay.
And then even do the society themselves. They do they judge things, so you can submit your tarantula, your scorpion for judging. Taxonomists will judge it and we'll award prizes for this is the best one of this category.
Yeah.
I think it's like tarantula and scorpion crufts kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh wow.
But that's the right sort of markings. That's that's all the right sort of size for that and stuff. And it's it's taken very, very seriously.
That sounds cool. That does sound pretty cool, to be fair.
And it's a very, very, very big one. It's the one that I've seen that people get. Oh, there we go. So actually, just put 250 table, 106 traders of inverts.
Nice.
So just outside Leamington Spa in the Warwick Event Centre.
How far away is that from me? Let's have a very quick cursory look. What am
I Susan.
Leamington Spa. The problem is whilst I'm in the reptile room on any sort of podcast, I switch the Wi-Fi off on my phone. So I'm trying to do it now with 3G. This is the problem with living in the middle of nowhere. The signal is just god awful. No, I'll have to check afterwards.
Paul said, "Want to go?"
Potentially, as long as it's not like a 5-hour journey. Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm hoping to do the June IHS show. Obviously, we were just discussing that just now, and I do want to get the membership first. But obviously, with Little and here now, I don't know how many far away trips I'll be able to do this year. Next year, I should be able to do more. I'm hoping to do AHH again next year, which would be pretty cool. I missed it this year. What else? IHS, a couple more invert shows would be cool. And there was also one in April that was for reptiles and aquatics. I can't remember where it was, but that one looked really good because I'm into both as well. But yeah, maybe next year. I got a serious case of FOMO with a lot of things this year, but it's fine. It's because I've just had not me personally, but my wife has just given birth for the second time. So you take the good with the bad.
So some things have to take priority. It's a take priority for it. Hey, Lily Bells. Nice to see you here.
It's 2 hours from us, so do the maths. Yeah, but it depends which direction we go. That's the problem. Let's have a look. I'll tell you what. Let me put the Wi-Fi on very quickly. Right.
What I'm going to do is start popping your links in the chat for people to go and check out over on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And if I'm mods, don't mind also putting those in chat throughout the stream. That would be really nice.
Legend, thank you. It's actually not too bad. It's just, well, if I was to leave now, it'd be just under 3 hours. So that's not bad. That's
3 hours is right.
That's doable. Do you know what like a sort of rough date? Is it what month was
19th of May.
Oh, it's as soon as that. Oh, okay. I'll see what I can do.
Sunday 19th of May is that one.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, hey, Callum. Happy Callum has been a member for the 14 months. Thank you, dude.
Nice.
Nice.
That's cool.
What first kind of got you interested in reptiles to the point that you actually wanted to start keeping reptiles?
I always found them quite fascinating because they were out of the norm. Do you know what I mean? So, like at school, obviously everyone had a cat or a dog or a hamster and things like that. But I quite liked the scalies. I just found them fascinating, and obviously every time I saw them in because there were times that we'd go to a place where I used to live, we'd go to a lot of fish shops because my dad used to keep Japanese koi and ponds and things like that. But there was always a reptile shop nearby. I'd make it my mission to get in there every single time, and I always liked them, but I was sort of never really allowed one because the parents didn't understand them. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those that a lot of people don't know enough about it. So I didn't have one until I was maybe 16, 17, something like that. Or I built my own leopard gecko enclosure out of an old wardrobe, which, to be fair, worked out all right. But the husbandry inside it wasn't great. But like I say, this was 12, 13 years ago, so I've cut myself a bit of slack. Yeah. And then I just quite enjoyed them after that. But even then, like I could see, like the writing was on the wall with how much A, I enjoyed it, and B, how sometimes addictive it can get. Because I had a leopard gecko, and all I did was go to the reptile shop to buy some bugs or whatever it was that I was going to get. And I wanted to come home with a crested gecko. It's straight, like literally, the guy got it out. I remember I was walking it through my hands. It was a cool little thing, and I went home. Now, bear in mind, I was still living with my parents, and I said, "Yeah, I might get another one." They were like, "What, to live in the same enclosure?" I was like, "No, they got different." Hello, and they went, "No." Like, you've got an enclosure with a lizard in it. You're not getting another one unless it can live together with that one, you know. And I was like, Damn.
Yeah.
All right. So that never happened. But and like I said, like I mentioned earlier on in the discussion, I met my missus, and she early doors told me that she was terrified of reptiles. So I was thinking to myself, it's never going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's a shame, but I'll never be able to keep reptiles. And she just so happened to quite like the beardies, and then she got me a snake, my first royal python for my birthday. But again, it was one of those where she was like, "Yeah, you're not having any more. This one's going to stay in your games room. It's never coming out. I don't want to see it." Blah blah blah. It only took her a couple of times to be like, the curious, how's the snake doing? And then got her to hold it and things like that. That was it, and here we are. Like, she ended up choosing the last couple of snakes we got. She's got one that I got her for her birthday that she absolutely adores. So yeah, I got quite lucky in that sense, but I don't know. I've just always had a fascination for, and I think when I used to go on going on holiday to like Greek islands, Cyprus, or Italy, and you see them running around and you see the little geckos, and it's just fascinating. And I just think they're different, and they're so interesting that, and because there's always something else as well. Like, that's sometimes the danger of it, because sometimes, like a lot of the comments are saying, you can never just have one.
No.
That's sometimes the danger, you know what I mean? Because it is too easy to get another one, and we do need to be careful. I, for one, fell into that trap, and I got too many in too short of time, and now I'm catching up with husbandry. But I don't regret anything, apart from how many royals I got at first. I don't regret anything, because I love all of these reptiles. They're incredible. But yeah, the thing that started it was just the fascination with the different.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it sounds kind of similar but different to mine, really. Yeah. Of course you can, Amy. Hey, Bastian. It's good to see you. Yes, dude. So, apparently, I need to ask you what a tuatara is.
To be fair, I still couldn't tell you as such. But yeah, when me and Paul used to host True Tales together, I think, what was it? He wanted me to name the the different reptile species or something, I think it was. And and then I'd reeled off a few, and then there's a couple that I didn't get, and he said one, and I went, and he went, and he got tuatara, and I was there going, what? He was like, a tuatara. I was like, no, I heard what you said. That doesn't mean I know what you just said. I have no idea what you're talking about. And it's just been a running thing ever since, that I didn't know what a tuatara was. But listen, I've never claimed to be an expert. Leave me alone.
That's right. I'll make him jealous. I've seen baby tuataras.
Have you really? Wow, that's cool.
In the UK as well. Yeah, Chester too, when they bred them.
Nice.
Stuff, and I was able to sneak back behind the scenes just to peek through them, but I wasn't allowed to take any photos. I was like, oh, I can't take photos because they hadn't announced it at the time.
Right. Okay. And they didn't want.
I was like, no, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I was like, these are cool. But that's cool. So you said your first one was leopard gecko.
Yeah. That was the first one. Do you know what? But it's really weird, because to this day, I can't actually remember where I got him from. I remember getting him. I remember I kept him at first. Everyone bear with me, because I know it's wrong. It was in quite a big fish tank, not with any water, by the way, before anyone, with a heat mat underneath it, under the glass, and I kept him in that sort of setup. And but for the life of me, I still can't remember where I've got him from. But yeah, he was cool, and I really enjoyed keeping him. But again, it was the fact that people didn't understand why I loved him so much, because they'd come in to see, well, let's see this lizard. Then I'd go, well, he's in there, but he's hiding, and they'd be like, well, is he going to come out? I'm like, well, no. Well, what's the point? I'm like, what do you mean, what's the point? Like, when he does come out, he is sick. I'm like, well, when he's come out, I'm like, well, usually sort of late at night, early. They were like, again, it was one of those where like, well, what's the point? I'm like, because it's cool. Do you know what I mean? It's something different. But I think that's the difference. Like we as reptile and amphibian and invert keepers, we can appreciate things sometimes even without seeing them. You know what I mean? Like
That's it.
It's part of their mystique as well, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got a couple of tarantulas that if I'm lucky, I see actually out and about maybe once a year.
Oh wow!
If I'm lucky. And when I do see them, I'm like, oh my god, you're stunning.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it for that, that 10 minutes or 5 minutes I might actually see them for during that. And I'm like, and then it hides when I'm like, oh, I'll see you again next year. And then I guess. So, hey, Leah.
Which ones are they?
Heteroscoda maculata, so Togo Starburst.
Okay.
So, and Stromatopelma calceatum. Yeah, feather-leg baboon. Being the beautiful, beautiful African species, but very rarely see them.
Yeah.
Being actually out and about.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're there. Hey, John. Whereas, like, yeah, some of them, they're always out and about.
Yeah.
So is that that mixture of things. It's the same with reptiles. Some you get that always out and about, and some that like to hide a bit, and then when they do come out, that makes it that bit more special because like, you've come out.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, that's why I'm a big fan of the milk snake, because she is out a lot more than the royals. Like the royals do occasionally come out during the day. They'll bask, they'll climb, things like that. But it is quite rare. The milk snake, I mean, even today, she was just out and about. Lights were on. She was out. She was climbing. She was probably looking for food again, because she is an absolute savage when it comes to food. But she's just incredible. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the tank is empty because she's hiding, but then there's other times she's out and about and she's enjoying the space she's got, the climbing, everything like that. And it's just really nice to see. And like you say, you appreciate it more when they're out, because you're like, oh, you do like what I mean. Do you know what I mean? You're like, you are enjoying it. So it's quite nice. I do enjoy that. The royals, it is cool because obviously I come in the evening before I go to bed just to spray the cresty who's up there. And I'll just have a quick cursory look to see who's out and about. And a lot of the time, the royals are either just starting to come out or they've moved around and things like that. And again, it's quite cool to see, even if it's not during the day and I can't appreciate it for long. I still get to see snakes in my house. And now a lot of people would go, "Oh, that's great," but for me, I think that's class. I love seeing them.
No, definitely. Yeah, Jamie, that was always my thing from a young age. Kind of thing. And it was always, oh, you're the snake lad, you're the lizard lad, sort of thing.
Yeah.
All time, and it's stuck with me and it's still with me, kind of thing. It becomes your life passion.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. It's something that I think, ultimately is very healthy, but it's also very easy to become very unhealthy.
Yeah.
And it's always good to be mindful of that as well. And we all do similar things with things. It's sometimes, as you said earlier, far too easy just to get too many in one big go or whatever, and suddenly you feel a bit overwhelmed with everything. It's the same on the invert side of things. It's in some ways almost even easier sometimes on the invert side of things. And stuff done is with the reptile side of things, because all the inverts don't need anywhere near the amount of electricity that a lot of the reptiles do, and stuff, and certainly don't need the same sort of space. So all of a sudden, there are people out there that will go to, say, an invert show and come home with like 100 spiders or whatever in one go, and then it's like, oh, what do I do with all this lot?
Yeah, especially when they start off in like those little pots like that, you can buy them in that. But obviously, eventually, they've got to get in something at least a bit bigger. But like you say, like, what do you do with them?
As in, some of them are not expensive. But you can go to a show and get a spider for literally like £2-3.
It's crazy,
kind of thing.
Crazy.
But it's because they produce so many for some things. Get something like a something bird eat a spider. They can have 1,000 to 2,000 babies in one sack. So like, they're not going to be expensive.
No.
I think when you're producing that many,
Mm.
I think. Whereas at least reptiles, well, by and large, tend to, command a bit more money at first, but sometimes I've seen some that have been a bit far too cheap sometimes over the years.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's like I don't know if it's still the same now. It probably is, but you can pick up a Bosk monitor. I know when I used to own a reptile shop, and they were in there for £30 for a Bosk monitor.
Yeah.
For a monitor that starts off all right, cute little baby like that, but that is a lizard that needs space, as we know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
and as well, I'm sure Paul will probably put in not the best monitor, nowhere near the best monitor for people to keep.
No, definitely not. I mean, because obviously the diet, it's. I mean, I'm no expert, but even I know that a Bosk, the dietary requirements, if you're going to do it properly, is savagely expensive because it is bugs, like just countless size. Like obviously with Ragnar, she's not too bad. Like she can have. Obviously, she's mainly bugs anyway. She'll have dubious, locusts. Obviously, every now and again she'll get shrimp, prawns, some fish, some egg. So it varies up a little bit. So it's a little bit easier to do. But from what I've heard, because like I say, I haven't got one, but from what I've heard, from what I've seen, the Bosk eats a savage amount of insects, and if you do it wrong, that will get very fat very quickly. And it's obviously very. I've seen some online that are just.
Well,
I mean,
horrendous.
there was one, and she was just like, "Oh no, he'd just eaten. That's why he was so fat." And I was like, "I could assure you, that's not what it is." I wasn't, attacking her or anything. I was just like, maybe be a bit careful, but what can you do?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it, Gallo. Hey, Matt. And they're not the best, but they're often, I mean, well, it was out today, and where were they? They had baby bosses there for sale, and they had young Akis next to them, and the Aki's far more expensive than the boss. And it's like, the Aki should be the one that you push it more.
Yeah,
It's like Akis are fantastic things. Love Akis.
I can't wait to have an Aki. I've literally, like I say, I've started sort of like arranging as such, like in the conservatory where things are going to go. And I've literally I've marked it out on the floor in tape where things are going to go, and I've got the Yaki enclosure. I know where it's. I haven't even built it yet. I don't have the materials because I like building them all myself at the minute, especially. I've got a couple of temporary grow out bibs, but when I build it, I've got the exact spot that my first Aki enclosure is ever going to be, and I can't wait to do so.
Right, yeah, Aki's there. Yeah, I used to. When I lived in France and I kept reptiles myself, I had some nice Akis and stuff. Absolutely just love them because they've got that rounded intelligence and stuff and everything, but in a manageable scale.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, this is the problem with being friends with the likes of Paul, because I went round to his house. I think it was last month. And then you see the things like the dwarf monitors, and you go, they are sick. You know what I mean? You see them, and you're like, that's cool. And then he goes, yeah, you could house them in that enclosure you've got. I'm like, oh God, don't tell me that. They're incredible. It's almost like part of me is like, don't tell me that because I'm going to want one more. And then obviously you got, obviously Dan, if he's still in the chat, Nardini. His yellow tree monitor is just amazing. Nice. Oh, beauty, an absolute beauty. The tree monitors are really I'm starting to see a lot more of them. I don't know if that's because that's what the algorithm has started chucking out to me because it knows that that's what I'm enjoying, or whether they are just becoming more popular. But again, I've got a space ready for a green tree. It probably won't happen anytime soon, but because that is the dream lizard for me, I am building it an enclosure. Whether I buy one this year, next year, 2 years time, I will have a space ready for a green tree.
No, they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful things. Obviously, so I mean, again, would love to have. I mean, I'd love to work with things like at work, or things like macrae, the blue trees and
Yeah.
stuff would be lovely as well.
Yeah.
And stuff. At work, unfortunately, we didn't have anywhere super winner. A pair came up through by ours and the ours on a breeding program. It was like, kind of like, can we build something, please? I was like, nah, damn it.
Oh man, yeah,
So
they're incredible.
That's how I'm trying to convince them, but yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it was a no-go at that time.
So have you currently got, like, yourself personally? Have you got reptiles at yours, or you said they're
not
all
so not in my personal collection. So
Okay.
in my flat, it's just inverts.
Okay.
Purely inverts, but I look after reptiles at work.
Yeah.
And then my parents, they keep primarily reptiles.
Okay.
So they've got a few. Well, my mum's got inverts as well. She's got into the invert side of things.
Okay.
But they're primarily reptile. My dad's very much a reptile person.
Okay.
He's very much sort of snakes and lizards are his thing. My mum's very much tortoise.
Okay.
When they got over 30.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then she also likes she likes snakes, but she's more lizard than snakes. And then like I say, yeah, she's going to the inverts as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, husband.
Was it so was it your parents that got you into it, or did you get them into it? Really?
Into it. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. See, that's always an interesting one, because I found that usually when the parents have got inverts or reptiles, that's where like the kid gets it from. It's not often that you hear that it's the other way around. So that's class.
It was the other way around. But all the, if you like, traditional sort of childhood pets and stuff, and some were like, yeah, these are cool, but then end up kind of basically brainwashing them when I was 7.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And convincing that we should get a reptile. And it was actually scary. When it was out for me, and I was like, damn, that was in 2 years' time, that's 30 years ago.
Oh wow.
I've been keeping for nearly 30 years. It's like,
wow.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. Nice.
So, but yeah, they're still very much absolutely loving it. So, and they used to breed a bit. They don't really breed anymore, but they do rehome stuff, and they also buy stuff, and they do displays and stuff as well. So they'll they got their AAL and things. And so it's became a very much a family thing.
Yeah,
which was nice because it meant that we was able to build quite a substantial sort of collection of animals. But all like, yep, I do these, you do those, sort of thing, and split up all the husbandry between everyone.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, so that it was manageable.
Yeah, see, that's the only sort of I don't want to say problem, but the only thing I find, even though the missus does like the reptiles, it's very much up to me to do everything. She'll feed the beardies, because they're in the living room, they're one on top of the other. And she'll give them their daily salad, things like that. But when I basically do everything else, so I don't mind it. To be fair, like I'm not saying that as though I'm like, oh, I've got bloody do everything. I don't mind it. I enjoy doing so. But it must be easier having someone who, like others who enjoy doing it, that can help you out with the chores, which is pretty cool.
That's it.
But that's why I'm trying to raise my son to do so as he gets older. He's still young at the minute. He's not even 2 yet, but he'll come in and he'll look in the glass and go snake and lizard, and that's it so far. But I'll get him with a spray bottle and things like that soon.
Well, I mean, in terms of you say you start keeping. You say when you're sort of in your teenage years, you started keeping.
Yeah.
So I'm sure in that time, we've just celebrated a birthday, but in that time, I'm sure your husband's probably changed as you've gone over that and stuff.
Mm.
I know you do mention in your videos and stuff like how it's changed over the years and stuff. So, what's been perhaps one of the how has it changed from when you was first keeping to now, and what was that point where you started kind of go, oh, hang on a minute, this needs to change, or really started to get improving on things or changing your husbandry from how you started?
Well, I've found that social media can be both a blessing and a curse. When I had the initial leopard gecko, this was I'm almost certain, if I remember correctly, I still had a phone that used credit, so it wasn't even a contract phone that I could go on the Wi-Fi and just do what I needed to do. So any information I got was from the guy at the reptile shop, which it was okay, but obviously, as we know, sometimes they're not perfect. Do you know what I mean? So I had a leopard gecko. I ended up having 2 leopard geckos in that enclosure. It was a male and a female. There was a red heat lamp because, again, it was one of those who was, oh yeah, if you keep that on, they can't see it, but you can see them, and it's still good for the heat and blah blah blah, all of that. And yeah, so I look back on that now, and I don't get upset with it because I know that I didn't have the facilities to find the better care. I was going by what I was told. I was going by what I could see, and that was about it. So as far as I was aware, I was doing all right. Lovely job. Obviously, the internet comes along, social media comes along, and that's where you have your good and your bad, because you can do biased research. You can do things like why do snakes like living in racks? Of course, you're going to get the answer you want. Do you know what I mean? But if you're willing to do it properly, which I now pride myself on doing, hopefully, there's so much you can find, and if you surround yourself with the right people as well, then it just can help you in leaps and bounds. You know what I mean? Like, the right people can guide you. You can double check if there's things you don't, because obviously at the end of the day, you don't want to take too many people's opinion as gospel straight away, because it might not be spot on. So it's always good to second check these things. But I do think social media has definitely helped. Like, the people I've met, the people that I speak to, it does help, and it's encouraging as well, because you can bounce ideas off each other. You can, ask for advice, and I think that does truly help. Yeah, I'd probably say that, to be fair, and just and not being so stubborn, because I see it all too often. Like, and again, I was probably similar for a little while, where I'm like, no, this is fine, this is all right. If one person's telling you it's not, maybe look into it. If 10 people are telling you, you should definitely look into it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yep.
I think that's where that comes into it, and that's definitely helped. So for the meantime, I've definitely stopped. I'm at quite a good place with my collection as such, if you want to, like, if that's what we can call it, like, because I've realized that there's a lot more happiness in upgrading excuse me, upgrading and getting your animals to where they should be, than just chasing that new high of a new animal. Like, don't get me wrong, we all love getting new animals or inverts. Like, there's no two ways about it. It's cool. But like we said earlier, then you get to a point, you're like, well, what do I do with it? Where do I put it? How do I, I haven't got everything for this animal, so that's going to cost me another 200-300 quid, and I've just bought another one. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a tough one, and it's all about surrounding yourself with the right people, for sure, and listening, not being so stubborn.
No, I mean, that's well said. So, and yeah, with that thing of that kind of dopamine hit when you buy a new animal, it is sometimes, like, for me, is that transferring it into buying new equipment or buying a new tank or whatever. I get the same feeling. These days, kind of thing,
Yeah.
of like, buying, even for the inverts. Oh, I'm gonna, this month I'm gonna get this light for these ones. I'm gonna, I'm gonna change their light for something better,
Yeah.
or whatever, and stuff. That's just as good. kind of thing, and just as much of a hit. Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
So, or like, oh, I'm going to redo this tank and, do it this way instead or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
I've definitely found, like, because like I say, you do get that high when you get that new animal, but it sometimes can be sort of fleeting. But the joy that I've started getting from building my own enclosures from scratch. So I'm not expecting everyone to do this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everyone go out and build your own enclosures. Some people don't want to. Some people can't. But for me personally, building these new enclosures and putting the overhead heating, the LED, the UVB, make it like sorting out my own substrate that isn't just sand from a bag. Do you know what I mean? Like things like that, and custom backgrounds that have got ducting systems in there that's that helping the plants thrive. I'll see these new builds and enclosures that I do, and that keeps me happier for longer. And I'm really starting to appreciate that a lot more. And that's the plan. That's the current plan, is to improve on what I'm already doing before I start getting any more animals, for sure.
Yeah, no, and that's when you actually, maybe when you do, set up an enclosure, that's because it takes longer to do it. That thing lasts longer anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas, I do buy quite a few inverts at a time and stuff, but that feeling, within a day or two, that's gone.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because, then sometimes, I've done myself where I found myself and then looking online at various sites, being like, well, what should I get next? Well, and then go, no. I've only just got this sort of thing. You need to slow down, kind of thing.
But like I said, like we've both said, it's all too easy to do. Like, you can go on Morph Market and you could have a new snake or lizard in the next hour. Obviously, it wouldn't get to you in that hour, but you could pay for a new animal that would arrive, at your door in the next few weeks. A lot of the time they might say, have you got, a setup ready? Yeah, that's it. So you could have a new snake or lizard or frog or anything turn up to your house very easily. You can go to a reptile shop, you can go to a pet shop and be like, yeah, I'm gonna have that. I've got my setup all good. And you can come home with a new animal very, very easily. But like you say, it's especially if, again, this isn't having to go at these animals, but especially if you put it in an enclosure and then it just disappears. Some of them will do so for quite a while at first. Like my blue-tongued skink, for example, he's only just started sort of coming out and hanging around and basking whilst we're still in the room. But when we first got him, it was an empty enclosure for 3, 4, 5 weeks, if not longer. Now, to me, as we've said before, that's fine. It's not a problem because I know eventually they'll come out, they'll get more comfortable. But for others, it's all too easy to get a new animal, go, well, it's not coming out. I want something a bit more exciting. And I get something else and it'll turn up. And then you've got something else there and something else that you can post online and something else that you can. But by the time you take into consideration the enclosure size, the lighting, the heating, the food, it adds up. It really does.
Yeah, especially when it comes to reptiles. You're looking at, the animals, costing me £50, £100, whatever. But then the setup might be £400 or £500.
Yeah, literally.
Easily.
Yeah.
By the time you add in everything, and then you got, then after a while, I'm like, well, now I need to upgrade this again or whatever, and upgrade the light in the game stuff, and then comes out again. And it's so easily done. They plowing a lot of money just into the enclosure alone.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. I mean, like, on the reptile side, people need to be certainly a lot more before they end up getting reptiles because of all those factors and stuff. And it's very different to when we both first started keeping in terms of the husbandry advice. I mean, when I first started, my first one was a leopard gecko.
Yeah.
And, again, nearly 30 years ago, and the advice was very similar to what you got, kind of thing. The difference was they actually said don't put any kind of light in there.
Wow. Okay.
Keep them in total darkness the whole time, sort of thing. But we knew no better.
Well, the scary thing is, though, is there's some people that still do similar. Though there's still people that will lie and say underbelly heat only, no lights or overhead heat or LEDs or UVB because they don't need it and they don't because they're nocturnal. it's just a shame that it's 2024 now and that advice is still being put out there because it's so not true. Do you know how many times I walk into my reptile room and I see my leopard gecko either just like fast asleep under the halogen and UVB, or just pottering around during the day, just doing what she wants to do, like chasing locusts and things. It's crazy. And she does that a lot more since, because in all fairness, again, like go back, 3-4 years ago or so when I did first start keeping again, and the people in the reptile shop were telling me, heat map, they don't need light. That's, keep them near in a room that's got light because they get the day and night cycle from the sun. But that was it. They are so much more active now that I give them a proper day and night cycle with overhead heat, UVB, LEDs. It's so much better. It really is.
Yeah, no, it's night and day the difference that you see in them. And the activity levels, and I remember there being, there was an article that came out years and years ago, and there's the army out in Afghanistan and stuff, and they're like, as you report back, we've seen these lizards out during the day, and people go, what? No, they're nocturnal. What are you on about? Sort of thing. And they're like, well, they're here. So also, I know someone he was out in India. It was a few years ago. He was out in India and he found leopard geckos in a woodland in India, but on this real damp, real sodden, mossy area. It was like it's the most moistest thing you can find, and found leopard geckos, sort of thing. And he was like, do it, and people were like, no, that's not the same one. It's like, it is. It's the leopard gecko that everyone's got, kind of thing. Because you tend to, pitch them, they're like, yep, that's that species. As well, and is in a mossy forest.
Yeah, because it's a massive range that they can be found in, isn't it? It is from literally
so big,
to like you say, foresty.
Yeah, I go, between it all, and it's all like, and again, that then got, when he sort of released that, it got me feeling like, wait a minute, you always got to think like, oh, give it a humid hide, to help him chase them. Next thing you think like, well, actually, maybe they just need a humid area to go to. Yeah. Maybe they need a gradient of humidity rather, kind of thing. Because again, when we first got them, like I say, nearly 30 years ago, the advice was, heat mat underneath a very, very thin layer of sand.
Yeah. Just sand.
Yeah, just sand, and just such a thin layer that if you just lightly breathe, it would blow away. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so one hide, a little bowl, sort of thing, and that's it. I mean that I don't even think there was thermostats. I don't think back then. So it was like looking back, like, oh my god, how the heat mats just plugged straight into the mains. No thermostats. What's going on? What the hell?
It's crazy to think. It's crazy to think how far things have come. But like I say, I'm still on my upgrade journey. I've started surrounding myself with the right people that are guiding me in the right directions. I'm following the right people online. I'm talking to the right people. And again, I've put my stubbornness and my chase for that next high aside. So it's good. It's good.
So Matt Transfer Rookie is just trying to get his frog set up with UVB, regardless what is suggested. We'll be able to frog in the beetle enclosure. Hopefully benefit both greatly. So he's got a backman frog.
Nice.
And even today, so many people say, "Oh no, don't know when you light over him and stuff." It's like, no, do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I've very much started living by, is giving the animals choice. It's all well and good when people say they don't need it, but offer them to have it, and if they want it, they can get it. Like, this is the thing. Like, I've said this a few times, we are the creators of their worlds. Like, it's up to us to decide what they've got access to. If you put an animal in a dark box with no light, they have no choice but to be in the dark. If you put an animal in a box that's got overhead heat, UVB, LED, but it's got hides and dark areas, that animal can choose whether or not it wants to come out and bask or whether it wants to hide in the dark. That's not up to us. We've given them that choice, and I really like it, even down to like my handling. I'm quite a hands-off keeper, and it's a lot of the time it's very much choice based, especially with the lizards. The snakes not so much. If they're out and about, they're quite easy just to pull out, and they're quite happy. But the leopard gecko, if she's up by the glass, I'll open the glass off of my hand. Sometimes she'll climb out, happy as Larry. Other times she licks the hand and just goes, "Nah, you're good," and off she goes, and that's fine. So yeah, that's very much the way my sort of keeping is at the moment. I'm trying to get everyone to the sort of choice based where it's up to them to decide what they want to do.
Yeah, as I say, he's aiming for thrival, not just survival. So, and that's that journey that hopefully we're all on. On the thing, you'd hope. I remember actually it was at HH. I don't think it was last year. It might have been the year before. I mean, we had Robin Mendyke. He came over from the States. He's the editor of Varanid Times.
Okay.
He done a couple of talks. He was one of the keynote speakers, and he done one. He works in zoos as well and stuff. Over there, talking about basis, kind of constant journey of like, we were here, but now we're here. We want to aim for here. But as soon as we get, hit that point, we'll add another bit on. So we'll never actually get there, but we're constantly getting better. Kind of thing. Because as soon as we improve ourselves, we want to improve again, and that's how it should be. Kind of thing is that you improved, and then at least you go, well, no, I can do that better now. I can give it even better than that. That sort of thing. Constantly, kind of never being happy but not happy at the same time with what you're giving, because it was like, I can do that better now. I can. I'm going to improve that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Because it's like at the minute, because I've found such joy in the upgrades and the building. Like I've only just very recently started building my own backgrounds, like using the styrofoam and the grout methods and things like that. And because of that, because I've found how easy it really can be, and how much fun it is, I'm now looking around, and it's only in the last sort of, well, I don't know, 7 or 8 months that I've upgraded both of my bearded dragons. But I'm still here, and I'm looking at those enclosures, and I'm like, I've got new ideas all over again. I know what I can do to them. Like, even though I've got others that need to be done first, like it's not even a want, like they need to be upgraded first, which is fine. Part of me is there's always that next step. Like they've got overhead heat, they've got UVB, I've installed LEDs, they've got vertical climbing, they've got horizontal hides, things like that. But again, I'm here going, but I can make that better. Or like I need to get these other ones done first, and then. But that's a good thing, because you're always chasing it, but in a positive way. You're not chasing that high of a new animal. You're chasing the better husbandry and care for your current animals. And I can't see a negative in that.
No, absolutely. That's the positive side of it. That's where, and then that becomes more of a dopamine hit, or it does to me anyway.
Yeah.
When you do it and you go, I've done that better, kind of thing. And even then, you might look at it in a month or two, or sometimes even the next week, and go, you know what, I can do that better. It's actually still quite a good feeling of like, oh, actually, I can do that better now. Thing. And stuff, and going in and then doing it better. And it is, doing like fake rock work. I mean, I've got, through my small, the invert tanks, I've done fake rock work in and stuff. And initially, you're always like worried of like, because you'll watch, see photos or certain videos or whatever, and be like, oh my god, that looks so perfect. I'm not going to be able to do it right. And what it took for me was someone literally to remind me, Bill, there's no such thing as a perfect rock. But don't worry about making it look perfect, because if you try and make it look perfect, it won't. It will look terrible. Go in and make it rough and ready. That's what rock is. Thing. And it was totally right. And just have a go. And the first one you do, after a while, you might be like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that one now, sort of thing. But the next one will always be that bit better.
Yeah.
And it will that bit better again. And as you hone in, the skills of doing it, and what methods sort of choose to use, because I'm doing it on, mine are in 30 centimeter cubed exoterras, so it's not exactly big scapes of rock work. It's all very much small scale, and it's like, trying to make it on a small scale. So what works for that and stuff, but it's like I've seen the progression in that of just like, okay, that's been better than this and stuff, and even then having fun with it and doing, various, silly themings of it or whatever.
But in all fairness to you, like doing it in a smaller enclosure might even be more difficult, because there's like less room for error. You know what I mean? Like, because I did in the latest milk snake enclosure, I did the background, but I also did a hide as well, like a fake rock hide. The problem is it was too big to fit in the place that I initially wanted to put it in. But luckily, because it's in a 4x2x18, I just pushed it further down the enclosure, and instead of a warm hide, it's now a cool hide. Whereas in a 30 or whatever, whatever you said it was, like, if it's too big, it's too big.
Yeah. I mean, one of my early ones, I still got it. There's a scorpion in it. I ended up basically probably reducing the space in that by half just because of doing 3 walls of rock work on it. And went, I've gone too big here. Sort of thing. I was like, I'm still going to use it because I'm not going to break it all down. I'll just keep something smaller in it.
Yeah, but like you say, like I agree with you as well. Like it's understanding maybe not what you've done wrong, but what you could do better on the next one, and trying new things. Like I say, like I'm happy with how the milk snake enclosure came out, but I'm currently about to start my next one, and I know that there's things that I did on that one that I'm going to do differently on this one. I'll probably do the same on this one. I'll probably do a couple of things. I shouldn't have done it like that. But I've got a minimum of another sort of 2 enclosures that I'm going to be building in the next few months that are going to have backgrounds. In actual fact, on the next one thing I am potentially looking at doing as well is instead of just styrofoam and grout, I'm going to use like non-toxic, like molding clay.
Yeah.
Trying that as well. I've never done it before. I've no idea how it's going to turn out, but the ideas that run in my head stop me sleeping. Genuinely, there's times that I'm lying there and I'm thinking about what I can do with it, how I can use it to implement in the enclosure. What textures can I give it? How am I going to shape it? What am I going to shape it around? And I'll be lying there and I'm like, you need to get up early tomorrow. Shut up and go to sleep. I can't help myself. I get so excited.
Well, that's good. I think that's a healthy, that's sort of healthy thing. Cause that's a
healthy obsession.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And an obsession over the right sort of things. The kind of thing I'm like, so I think again, most of the people in chat do, they're saying things with their, especially the invert people, they're saying things with their inverts kind of thing. And so, and that's where that maintains as being sort of a healthy thing. As well.
Yeah, definitely.
See what's in chat. I think a lot of people talking about what they got yesterday.
Most of the people in chat at the invert show yesterday.
There's a good few people that were in chat that were there yesterday.
Nice.
So Osmond's been a member for 4 months.
Nice.
That's one Osmond.
What's funny, I wonder how many of these people I walked past at the Taunton invert show without knowing them. Maybe at the next one.
Must be a fair few,
yeah.
Well, what is the next one you're likely to attend at, or that you're attending?
I'm not sure. Inverts wise, I'm not sure. Like the one in May that you were talking about, I think it's too soon. Potentially. So inverts wise, it's probably Taunton next year. But I am very, very much hoping and should be at IHS in June. Because we're a couple of months away from that one yet. So I should be able to get away with that one.
So you see, trying to recommend got bat poop.
Bat poop, nice.
Was that for me? Yeah, it was for me because I sell that.
I still need to try the bat poop. Because I've only got 2 little setups of isopods at the minute. I've got yellow zebras and panda kings. That's it. I nearly forgot for a second.
The panda kings will eat it.
Yeah, and they seem to be doing really well. Like I thought I'd killed them all, but then what I did is the ones that I could find, I put in one of the enclosures. But I thought, all right, just in case there's anything in there, I'm not going to throw the tub away, leave it. And then I came back probably a month or so later. I lifted up the cork bark and there was a whole load of them again. So I was like, yeah, cool. I was still putting a bit of food in there, things like just in case. And then, yeah, luckily there's a few in there. Same with the yellow zebras, but they are cool. But it's funny because my mum came around, my parents came around the other day, and they were just asking me, like, they came in, and my mum was like, "Well, what's in that one up there?" I was like, "There's a jumping spider in there." She's like, "Ah, that's why your sister won't come in here." I was like, "Yeah." And then she saw it. She was like, "Well, what's in those ones?" I said, "Oh, fancy wood lice." And she just looked at me with this face of, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, it's fancy wood lice." She was like, "Why?" I was like, "Because they're cool." And I was like,
Yeah.
and they're like little sort of like clean up crew for some of the enclosures and things like that. And I was like, they're just cool. And it's just that age old look of
What?
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought you can get these from the garden.
Yeah,
Sort of
yeah,
thing. What are you paying
literally.
that sort of
Yeah,
money for them?
yeah, yeah.
So I had the same thing from, well, I had the same thing from when I first got isopods, probably a good 10 or so years ago. My first ever ones. It was like, why are you getting those for? You know, and now she's got her own collection of isopods.
Yeah.
Stuff, and has got, you know, some fancy ones, and, you know, spends quite a bit of money on some of them. Sort of thing.
They're
Same as
another one
Ivy.
that seems quite easy to fall into the trap as such.
Very, it's because they're very low maintenance. A lot of them, very low maintenance. You know, a lot of those sort of things, like the other was, leave them alone,
Yeah.
and they'll just leave them to it.
Yeah,
Thing,
well, that's
and just don't
literally what
disturb
happened
them.
with the Panda Kings.
Kind
Yeah,
of
I
thing.
just left it.
It's the constant disturbing them that's where things go wrong. Sort of thing is gets that right, and stuff, and just leave them to when I first got my first rubber duckies. I had to keep reminding myself, like, don't keep checking on them, don't keep checking on them, just leave them to it. Sort of thing. And stuff. I just think with those sort of things, like millipedes and stuff, it's one of these sort of saying in the zoo world. It's sort of like you get them, set them up, and then just ignore them for 6 months.
Yeah,
Another thing, don't look at them. Another
yeah.
thing, as a bit of a joke kind of thing, and like, and then when you look at them, you're like, oh my god, I've got loads.
Yeah.
Because for all those sorts of things, the substrate is the food.
Mhm.
Anything else
Yeah.
you put in there is just extras.
Yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
thing.
Little
So getting
treats.
that substrate right is their main source of food, kind of thing, for those things. So that's where they're like, all they, sometimes really somebody else was all they need is a top off of leaves every now and then. Kind of thing,
Yeah.
a bunch of dead leaves every now and then, and they're good for a lot of them.
Yeah.
But some of them go through it very, very quickly. Some of them really quick and heavy breeders of them. They'll strip it down in no time. But they're one of my current kind of obsessions is isopods.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite at the moment, or?
Rubber duckies are probably up there as one of my favorites because I never thought I'd ever get rubber duckies. They were like one of these ones that, like, I'll never get them. They're too expensive.
Yeah.
I don't know, come down a lot in price, sort of thing. They're too sensitive, this, that, and the other, and now breed them.
That's
sort of
class.
thing. And I've got Panda Kings first, and they were expensive when I first got them, and now I sell them myself now far less than what they were when I got them.
Yeah.
So, actually, my mum bought them for me as a sort of going, I'll treat you to them, and like, no, they're expensive, you don't have to, kind of thing. And then when I first saw it, I was like, well, if I breed these enough and sell enough, I could perhaps then invest that into getting rubber duckies, which I did.
Yeah, nice.
And then now I've got a whole bunch of Gabaris and Marinellas and stuff, and this is like, and now I look at it and go, people think I'm crazy spending this sort of money on isopods. I don't think, but it brings me joy.
You can spend your money on worse things. That's what I always say to people.
That's it.
Again, this isn't judging anyone that does so, but I very rarely drink. It's not often. I go to the pub maybe twice a year, and that's through I'm not against it. It's just not really something I do. Whereas my brother-in-law Jacob, well, it's a little bit less now that that he's got a kid as well. But it was every weekend. It was every weekend. He was just there, and it's 20, 30, 40 quid a weekend on just beers. Do you know what I mean? And I can be guilty of it as well. Like the very rare occasions I do go, it'd be, well, to be fair, my vice is food. So usually I'm there going, right, I'll order a side of chips first, and then I'll get the burger and chips, and then I'll get a dessert. That's my vice. That's my problem. But again, this is what I mean. That I don't smoke. Again, no judgment to those who do. But money that I spend on maybe reptiles and a new LED or a UVB, it could be going to other places. So there's definitely worse vices than isopods, reptiles, inverts, things
That's
like
it.
that. So that's how I
it.
justify it anyway.
Yeah. Well, no, absolutely. I mean, and that's something that's kind of installed in me, yeah, at a young age. So, my parents, other parents, would be like, "Oh, why are you encouraging him to keep these animals for and stuff?" And why, and then eventually when I was a teenager, they're like, starting to go out, perhaps go out on weekends and stuff, whatever. I was never one necessarily to always go out just to go out on the lash and stuff and come home blind. There'd be the occasional one.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
But also, other times I'm like, well, I'm going to go out. I'm just going to have one because actually, I'm saving up to get this bulb.
Yeah.
The thing, I'm saving up to get
yeah.
this fifth and stuff. And it was sort of like, actually, yeah, for managing these animals, I need to pay for some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of thing. I need to do this as well. So it was like, well, actually, I want my money to go towards them rather than this, and that I've got more to show for it by getting that than drinking it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Get your kids into reptiles or inverts, and they'll never have money for drugs.
yeah, it's literally that sort of thing. Yeah, and there's people that I was at school with that. That's all they do is that sort of thing, or whatever. For the weekend, they're just getting drunk and smoking whatever, and that's their choice.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and and I'm like, well, actually, I'm doing this. I'm reading stuff, and then selling it, and doing talks on it. I've made it my job, and
you're following your passion,
my life passion,
kind
of thing.
Yeah,
and it's sort of like, yes, there's certain things that you end up you can't have, but that's the sacrifice you make.
I think it's one of those like, as long as you're happy and you're not hurting anyone, I don't see any problem with any. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those. This is why I've always been the sort of guy. I've never really cared what people thought about me. Luckily, because I'm very much into my aviation, and I never used to hide that in school. Like I don't want to say bullied. I don't think I was ever bullied, but I had the mick taken out of me for it. But it never bothered me. So I was like, I love it. You know what I mean? It's what I do. It's what I enjoy. I enjoy, and I'm quite grateful for that, because it's always let me be able to do what I want to do, because I almost ignore the naysayers. And it's the same with this. Like, I'll get snakes and people will be like, "Oh, what are you doing that for? They're disgusting." I'm like, that's fine. If that's what you think, I can try and convince you that they're not, but it brings me joy and I enjoy it. So, yeah, I've always been all right with things like that. But it's funny because there was a certain period of time where I used to go to the gym and train a lot, but I also used to play a lot of like Xbox and PlayStation. So if I went to the gym, I'd be taking the piss out of for being a gaming nerd. And then when I was on the games, I was taking the piss out of for being a gym nerd. So there was no winning. There's no winning either way, but it's fine because both brought me joy and I did both. So it's cool. Gets bullied now. It's not bullying, it's character building.
That's right. We
quiet for a little while.
The invert side of things. We're actually got a friend. We all have to sort of bully a little bit called Jeremy. Jeremy's my whole world. I mean, we like to sort of take the piss out a little bit. But it's all good because we love him.
Yeah, exactly.
So, to the point that yesterday actually I surprised him with we have this joke about him being a teapot seller, which he's not. I don't think. The joke that he's partially got posh tea sets and this and the other.
Yeah.
But it's been going on for nearly 3 years. I don't think this running joke, to the point that even like show organisers, when he's like put a show on the traders list, they put him down as selling fancy tea sets and stuff. He's like, "What the hell? I'm not doing that." And someone just surprised with we got a little glass teapot and turned that into an enclosure for a spider.
Nice.
And he's really into his wall spider, his tree spiders especially and stuff, and also some poor little young wall spider in him. Gave to him, there you go. And he's like, I've got to like teapots now. So we run through, and now we've got to keep a teapot because it's an enclosure.
Love that.
So this little tiny setup with live moss in it and stuff. Or for a
Nice.
little wolf spider, and he's like, oh, he's like, loved and hated it in equal measure.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's what it's all about, man, for sure. That's what it's all about. It's embracing the weirdness.
absolutely, absolutely, and that's the thing with these hobbies. It's sometimes on the fringes of a lot of things and stuff.
Mm.
But there's so much similarity with it all as
Mhm.
well. Whether you are just reptiles or just inverts or just amphibians or even just aquatics
Yeah.
and stuff. There's so much crossover and so much that we
Mhm.
can all learn from each other. On things. Leah done a taxidermy one for him as well.
Nice.
So, um, so and that same goes in the zoo world. You can watch like an aquascaping video from an aquarium channel and go, well, actually, I can do that in a terrarium.
Yeah.
I can do
Yeah.
similar and take that sort of trick and perhaps do that in a terrarium.
Yeah.
And so, and vice versa, and even watch someone like Worcester Terrariums or whatever doing a little tiny jar terrarium. Like, well, actually, that might work for this. Something
Yeah.
similar on a larger scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuff. And there's all and actually this year for zoos, finally kind of embracing ones that there's so much similarity of that. We're having a big ectotherms conference of joining up inverts, reptiles, amphibians, and aquatics all under one thing for 1 year.
Nice.
For a big conference for all 3 working groups to get together and discuss everything that we all do
That's pretty cool.
and stuff.
Because,
It's
like you
going to
say,
be
there is crossover, isn't there? There definitely is.
yeah,
Like, there's definite you can get inspiration from all of these hobbies without a doubt.
I might as well quite Frank lined up for him. One of the best people, I'm winding those up they like. That's it.
Do you know what? It's one of those, and I remember saying it to a friend of mine. Like I say, I'm into aviation, and last year we went to Wales and we were doing some low-level spotting. And there's one guy that he was like, he was quite young, to be fair to him, but he wasn't sure whether people were sort of joking or not anymore. Like, because he was getting a lot of the banter directed towards him. And the way I reassured him is I said to him, you need to worry whether people like you or not when they stop
Yeah,
bantering you. I said, because at the minute they know you can take it. All right, it might have got to the point he was questioning it because it was quite constant. But it was, I said to him, at the minute they banter you because they know you can take it and because they like you. It's the same with
yeah,
me. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I will banter you because I like you. So, and that reassured him quite a bit. So, yeah, I said to him, worry when people stop doing it.
but yeah, no, definitely.
Mm.
Well, I'm just going to answer that. With Visions, yeah, if you work with the Femmes at Bristol, the reptile and amphibian working group, terrestrial and vertebrate working group, and aquariums working group are all got a joint conference in November at Drayton Manor this year. In
Nice.
November, 3 days
Yeah.
of all 3 working groups. It's going to be mental. So, but just for this year, that all 3 are joining together,
Nice.
sort of thing. Because we were discussing that within the steering committee meeting earlier in the year with the terrestrial and vertebrate working group,
Mm-hmm.
and some were like a bit scared, like it's just going to be every year because we can't afford to lose stuff from 3 different sections for 3 days and stuff. Some of them go down. I'm guessing in Visions you probably worked with the likes of Adam Davis and Tim Skelton. I know Tim Skelton's not at Bristol anymore. They must work with the likes of them. Possibly even Adam Button when he was there.
Just seen what Paul has said as well. Honestly, that guy. I still need to go to Bristol Zoo. Actually, it's not that. It's probably about an hour or so away from me. I need to do more of that. Like I say, I mean, at the minute it's easier said than done, but at some point, hopefully. I mean, what was annoying is I lived in Portsmouth for about 5 years, so obviously I was very near Marwell Zoo, and
Oh, yeah.
every single year I was there, I said, right, I'm going to go this year. when it opens at some point during, the whatever, I'm going to go this year. I'm going to make sure I go this year. Did I ever go? No, I didn't. Never. I don't know what it was. It's one of the, it's like, when they say people
That's
that live
one
in
if it's
London
near
never
you, you
see
don't go to
Buckingham
it.
Palace. Yeah, literally that. But yeah, I would like to go at some point. But I keep saying that. It's like I keep saying to myself, I need to like try and find some native herbs up near in the common near me. I've lived here for 4 years now, and I've still not done it. I still haven't done it. I keep saying to myself every time the sun starts. Well, I mean, this year we haven't had any sun yet. But I keep saying when it gets warmer, when the weather, I'll get Jacob and we'll go up there and we'll try and find snakes and lizards and whatnot. And I just don't do it, but I will. I will.
I mean, it's one of the things because subconsciously, like, well, I could do this any day because it's only up the road.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
It's only over there, so I could do this, and so you end up just doing things that are further away because you're like, well, I can't do that every single day, just any day. So what's the real day today? So I'm going to do that instead of doing that.
Yeah.
So you just never do those things. I think we're all, most of us are all the same, really.
Yeah.
So, I know I am, where I work and live, work and live in one zoo, and there's a whole bunch of other zoos around. I love going to zoos, and all the ones within an hour to say even 2 hours, I pretty much hardly ever go to because I'm like, well, I can do those any day. And I'm going for the ones that are further afield.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
I mean, Marlow I've been to, and that's on my list to go to again because of they obviously they open up their tropical house, which is really cool.
Oh yeah.
And then they have actually reopened up their old tropical house.
Okay.
But as like North African sort of reptile house, but I've only seen footage and photos of it, but where it's not basically ribs or anything, it's just one big open enclosure.
Oh.
And all mixed.
Yeah.
And it looks awesome.
That's cool.
And that's cool. Like this just this big area with plated lizards and even hyrax and sardigramas and stuff. And you're like, what?
That's cool. That is cool.
It looks so cool. With all the lighting units on top, it's like, okay, that's I need to go see that.
Yeah. See, it's funny because this is basically just reminded me, obviously, to the earlier question of what got me into it and things like that. But I do remember every time we went to zoos when I was a kid, I always aimed for the reptile house. It was always like I loved, like, don't get me wrong, I love the big cats, I love all the animals you get, but I loved going into the reptile houses and just I could spend a lot of time in there. Like I couldn't because not everyone was into it and I was only a kid at the time. But yeah, now that we've been talking about that, I just remember going to these zoos and the reptile houses over there. They're like, just calm down, we'll get to it. I'm like, oh, it's that way. Like, just relax. But I think that definitely didn't help, but did at the same time for sure.
Yeah, no, I remember in Norfolk, you wouldn't. Well, you can do this now a little bit, but they, as a kid, handed me a little baby caiman.
Yeah,
just a handle as part of the tour.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Can we get one?" And the person's like, "No, you can't. We just got leopard gecko. You can't now get caiman. You're only 7."
Bit of a jump, that one, isn't it? Yeah, bit of a jump.
Only getting like, no, you can't.
Yeah,
I'm not going to jump in now. You can just get caiman. Sort of thing. So at least they were sensible to an extent. Kind of feel like, no. So let's keep leopard geckos, but not get any crocodilians. There's my good point about it's amazing how huge the animal community is. There needs to be less drama in some sectors and more acceptance, like in the vet community, which has a small bit of drama, but on the whole is so kind.
Yeah,
and so I mean, obviously in sort of both sides. One of the things I don't know what you think, Andrew, but like we go online, especially like the dreaded Facebook groups, or especially when it comes to reptile side of things, and someone who's just starting out, whatever, and asks a perfectly sensible question of, I'm thinking of getting this. What do I need to know? And
Yeah.
just the venom that gets spat at
Yeah.
them from
Yeah.
people, like, well, you need to do it, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
and you've got the
Yeah.
animal, they're literally doing their research.
Yeah.
That's part
Yeah.
of it
It's that
now.
one, isn't it? Yeah. You need to do your research before you get. Why am I here? Why do you think I'm here? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've recently joined a group. Apologies for the shameless self plug. Called it's Team Educate, Don't Berate.
Plug it.
Yeah, and it's basically a small group of basically social media reptile keepers, invert keepers, amphibians, things like that. And essentially, we're trying to do exactly that: educate people without basically berating them. Because, like you say, all too often, especially on Facebook, you see, someone asks a simple question and they get dragged through the mud for it.
Yeah.
Not only does that person put up their defenses and probably not do that, but someone else who was considering asking a question and asking for help will now go, there's no way I'm asking. There's no way, because if that's how they treat people, I'll just look elsewhere, or I'll just carry on how I'm doing now. So yeah, we're basically trying to create like a space where, regardless of your setup, your animals, your situation, whatever it is, you can ask advice, you can talk to any one of us without being judged, berated, anything like that. Like, you can come to us with a 3-foot enclosure that's got 3 leopard geckos in it and a heat mat, and you will not get dragged through the mud. You will just get told politely, you will get educated on the matter, because at the end of the day, we're here to help the animals. Like, a lot of the people look at it like the facts over feelings, but we need to remember that you need to understand the person so that they can help their animal. Do you know what I mean?
That's
Like, shouting at someone isn't going to make them make their animal, like, improve their care. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, you speak to the people first. Make sure you do it in a polite and friendly way, and it can only be a positive thing. It's a safe space for people to truly ask questions and improve their care.
And it's only go. Remember, we all start somewhere, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of us, when we first started, when we look back and go, oh yeah, our husband's was not great, sort of thing, or whatever, and it's all a journey kind of thing. And it's, as maybe go in, just shouting at them or whatever. It's it's our instincts is to be defensive kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas you go, oh, you're doing that, or sometimes you've got to pick out something that they're doing that is good to go, that's good, but have you thought about this? Kind of thing, or this is how I do it, or sometimes the way, try and inspire to do better rather than kind of go, you need to do better. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Make them like, actually, I'm jealous of the way they're doing things. I want to do that too.
It's one of those. It's the lead by example.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. Like, it's easy to go on Facebook and grill someone. It's very easy to do so.
Yeah. Matt just what about Facebook?
Yeah.
We give some people the power.
Yeah.
This is the only way to keep this. Groups are awful for this. You must be also to be angled at 43.567 degrees, or the animal will burst into flames.
Yeah.
Some of them are like that.
Yeah, they are.
And heaven forbid you mention loose substrate.
Which, again, to this day, is just unbelievable. The fact that people are still putting, reptiles on reptile carpet and tiles. It's crazy, because the thing is, I don't like doing it, but you see it, because the people that obviously do push loose substrate will then say things like, what do they live on in the wild? They don't live on ceramic tiles. There is a way of going about it, but at the same time, it's true.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, well, joined the group recently, asked for some advice and got ridiculed.
What group was that? Are we allowed to know which group that was, Viv? But yeah,
it
it's
crazy. It was a tortoise group. I only asked if I could feed wild weeds and got grilled about having to wash the food, and some people called me cheap.
See, that's crazy. That is crazy, because it's such a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, those people in their heads are thinking that he's going to go out, spray dandelions with weed killer, and then offer it to his tortoise. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, it's crazy. Some people call me cheap.
Yeah.
Why is that cheap?
Yeah,
I don't understand how that's cheap.
I do a daily tortoise talk,
Hmm.
and one of my things is your food should be free.
Yeah,
Go out and pick it.
yeah, yeah.
Thing.
I mean, it's
Go,
like, for example, like with some of the stick insects that only eat brambles. I'm certainly not going to go out and buy brambles. Crazy, crazy.
So, yeah, I'd be like, yeah, my response would be, yeah, to someone ask me, should I feed or could I feed wild weeds? I'd be like, hell yes, do.
Yeah.
That would be. And
Yeah.
even point in the direction of Tortoise Stable website with their plant database, which is fantastic for knowing what plants that you can and can't feed the tortoises.
Yeah.
It's very heavily based on Mediterranean tortoises, but I use it for soul carters and leopards.
Yeah.
So most zoos use it. So,
yeah. There are places you can go, like there are, as if you know where to look. Like obviously Reptiles is very good. Obviously I know there's not everything on there just yet, but Reptiles I do find is really good. Like I say, educate, don't berate. Feel free to check them out if you haven't already. But there are places you can go, and if there's people you trust as well, it's always good to go there. Like there are some good Facebook groups. There's another one I'm in called Exotic Keepers Non-Judgmental or something like that. Anyway, I'm in
that one as well.
Yeah, it does what it says on the tin. Like I've never ever in that group seen someone get dragged through the mud or ask a question and get torn down. Like
I believe if she's still in the chat, I believe Little Bell's Jungle set that one up, or
I believe so, or is part of it at least.
Or at least part of it. I'm pretty sure she invited me to that
and
one.
I think she set it up. Her and I think someone else set that one up. But yeah, it's a good group. So if you know where to go, you can get the good advice. But as we all know, Facebook can be an absolute cesspit. In all fairness, I've seen it in the aquatic side of things as well.
It's in every hobby. Every hobby is it's in every walk of life. You get good and bad. You get really good ones and you get really bad ones. It's the same everywhere and the same no matter what.
Yeah.
And so it's in the invert side of things, you get some really good groups and there's some really trash groups. And you're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so, and like I say, the aquatics. I've kept a few aquatics over my time, but some I've seen some, and even I see some someone go, "What the hell's that?"
Yeah.
And I certainly don't know a huge amount about aquatics.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know whether people just feel more powerful by having a go at people online, or
often
whether they just because they certainly wouldn't talk like that to someone in person. There's no way.
No. Well, there's that security of behind the screen, and you don't know who I am and can't get to me, or kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you know what? That just reminds me of and this genuinely happened on Twitter once. And the guy said something, I can't remember what he said, but he was like, you were better as a commentator than a boxer or something like that. And he grilled him on Twitter and he sent for him. And the guy went, yeah, but you feel big behind a screen, but I bet you wouldn't say that to my face. And the guy went, well, no, because I'd get battered. And the guy just went, fair enough. At least he admitted it. He was like, no, I wouldn't. I'd get battered. I respected that. I had to admit, I saw that and I was like, fair.
So we mentioned, a few reptiles that you'd perhaps love to keep one day if you're able to. But is there any, things like the green tree monitors and stuff? But is there anything else on your list that, if time was right and money was right and you had the space and stuff, is that really something that you like? That'd be the ultimate dream sort of animal to keep if you could.
If we're looking realistically, the Prasinus, the green tree, is the number one. But that's if I'm talking realistic in the current space I'm in, potential money in the future, yes. If we're looking at things that aren't realistic right now, I adore the Bell's Phase lace monitors. I think they are stunning. Like they are just an absolutely incredible looking monitor. They get big, as we know. So that wouldn't be possible now because again, something like that, I'm not giving it you know. And I'm not giving it the same size enclosure as I've got Ragnar in, who at the minute is in 8 feet by, it's like 2 leveled. It's like half of it is 5 foot. This side is 3 foot because it goes over my desk. But I couldn't keep a Bell's face, like a lace monitor in that. There's no way. But if I could, I can promise you now that that would be on the list without a doubt. Snakes wise, I'm a massive fan of the Brazilian rainbow boas. I would like to keep one of those.
Yeah, they're stunning.
Green tree pythons as well. They are incredible. And I think something like that, I think, or even with both, to be fair, just the ideas that I'd have for the enclosure alone before even looking at the animal is pretty cool. Like that little jungle scape would be sick. Yeah, there are some cool ones out there. I do like the red-eyed crocodile skinks. They're cool as well. There are a few, but that's why I love the hobby so much, is because there's just so much variation, you know, from the tiny little, because I like I say, I went to Paul's a month or two ago, whenever it was, and I saw that his Stenodactylus geckos, they're about this big. They're tiny.
Yep.
They're incredible. You know, I'd love to have some of them. But at the same time, I'd love to have a lace monitor that is a little bit bigger than that. So that's why it's cool, yeah. You know, and then you've got your arid setups, you've got your nocturnals, you've got your jungle setups. So I also would like to get into amphibians as well. Like obviously, I've mentioned inverts. I'd love to get a giant millipede. I do quite like the invert side of things, and I will hopefully get into them a bit more. Frogs, I'd like to get into maybe some poison darts or something like that. But as for actual dream ones, yeah, you're looking something like he would also. It was a pretty cool room. I'll give him that. There's no taking it away from him. It was a pretty cool room. And at some point in the future, we're going to do, because obviously we did film some stuff at Paul's, and it's up on my channel if anyone's curious. I'm sure he's got a reptile room tour as well, but we're going to do a proper one at some point in the future as well. But it is a cool room. I'll give him that. I will. Like I already wanted a green tree, but seeing his in the flesh and feeding them did nothing good for my brain at all. I just came away going, it's not a want anymore. I need a green tree monitor. So yeah, it was good. But yeah, that's why I love the hobby. There's so much variation because, like I say, I've got a blue tongue skink, and then you've got the little pink tongue skinks that don't need as much room and things like that, and they're quite cool. The frilled dragons, but yeah, there are some dream species, but the plan at the minute is to get everyone to where they need to be first, sort out the biggest reptile room, the new reptile room, and take it from there. But yeah, there's hopefully plans to come. But yeah, man.
That's good. Hey, Shelley. So, something that I was kind of thinking about the other day, these sort of hobbies, whether it be reptiles, inverts, and stuff. It's not just necessarily the animals that you actually sort of learn about. So, there's other things you end up learning about without even realizing it.
Yeah.
What do you think's been the biggest thing you've learned just outside of the animals, but from keeping the animals?
Definitely the fact that the animals are very much individuals, and that it's easy to overlook the smallest things. You know, like just offering the smallest things can really be beneficial, and they can really enjoy it. Like one of the backgrounds that I built, all I did was do a little ledge, but I made it so that there was only a little gap in it. It was for a royal, so I was like, I don't know if he's going to use it or not. And he squeezes himself in there quite often, and he loves it. Like he must feel safe. He seems to quite enjoy it. But it's all about individuality and enjoying the hobby as a whole. Enjoy the people, enjoy the scaping, enjoy as much of it as you can, because like we said earlier, if you just chase that new animal, you're going to get bored quickly and end up with too many animals that you can't look after. Whereas if you've got people that you can speak to, that you can almost live vicariously through them. Like I say, I see Paul's room, you know, Dan is certainly starting to build one hell of a pretty cool collection, things like that. So it's nice to have a sense of community as well, you know, and helping people out. So I'd probably go with things like that. Like it's been open minded, and yeah, yeah, open mindedness I'd say is something I've learned along the way for sure.
No, definitely. I think these sort of things, yeah, teach us so many things just without even realizing it.
Mm,
Sort of thing that we and like
yeah,
keeping tarantulas. You know, I think most people in the tarantula we go, they teach us patience, kind of thing, because of how
mm,
long some of them bloody take. Kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like something that they go into pre-molt for months on end or whatever and stuff or whatever. I've got a young vinegaroon,
Yeah,
little baby one that's been buried now for I think since December in pre-molt,
really.
and I'm waiting for it to molt. And like, come on,
Is that normal for them? Is
yeah,
that standard?
perfectly
Yeah.
normal. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. My mum's got a sort of Fuji that's in a molt position at the moment. That's where most people chuck them out. And I told her, nope, that's molting. And she was like, well, how long is that going to be? And I was like, that could be 6 months, like that. just sat there like that, looking dead. Kind of thing.
Wow.
I was like,
Okay.
well, no, just leave it. Don't touch it. It will
Okay.
eventually, suddenly molt, hopefully, kind of thing.
Wow. That's amazing.
Sort of thing, or with some of these where they take perhaps a long time to rear up from from babies or whatever. Yeah, some transit can take 10 years or whatever to reach adulthood
Wow.
and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you combine that as a sling, there was a bunch of have a joke of like the Phonopelma species. If you buy a Phonopelma sort of sling like Alcody sling, you might see it adult by the time you retire.
Oh.
And you can buy that at 20 years old. By the time you retire at 65, it might be adult, kind of thing. It's a bit of a joke,
Wow.
kind of thing, because it's just how slow they grow and stuff.
Mm.
That it's not in the hobby, and I don't think anyone would be willing to keep it. But there's a species of beetle that is a larvae for 47 years.
47 years.
Yeah, just as a larvae under the ground, and then when it does emerge, it's adult for like a couple of weeks.
No. That's outrageous.
So, yeah, what is it? I mean, I've got beetle larvae that I'll rear up for like might take potentially 8 years to rear them up to become
Wow.
adult. Yeah, tubs of dirt, lots of tubs of dirt
That's amazing. I did not know that.
and
I didn't
stuff.
know that at all. That's incredible. But and then, like I say, like when they emerge, does it vary on the species? Are some of them alive as adults for longer than others, or
It very much greatly varies. So like
yeah,
some of the beetles will be adult for 6 months. Some of them might be adult for 2 weeks, and that is
wow,
natural. That's their natural sort of adult lifespan. And then you get things like the blue death beetles that are like 10 years plus as an adult,
right, okay,
kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, they're
But
quite cool.
they can also take years to develop as a larvae and to
Right,
pupate,
okay, yeah.
sort of thing.
I've started seeing a lot more about them recently. Are they becoming more popular, would you say, or is it again maybe just the algorithm chucking them my way?
People are liking blue death beetles. I mean, I've been keeping them for probably near on 10 years.
Yeah,
I'm yet to be successful in pupating them.
right, okay,
So every single blue death beetle you'll see available is wild caught.
okay.
A few people worldwide have successfully captive bred and
Hmm.
reared them and gone through pupation. The pupation thing seems to be the most difficult part,
Okay.
and it's replicating it seems to be really difficult as well.
Hmm.
There's one person, I think she was in the States, she's done I think at least 10
Hmm.
got through pupation. And the key thing seems to be trying to keep the substrate at 31 degrees Celsius when they're pupating. Thing seems to be the key from what I've gathered from talking to a few people and
Yeah.
talking to someone who's spoken to keepers at Cincinnati Zoo who have done it a couple of times and stuff, and even released ones to the wild and stuff. And like
Wow.
that seems to be perhaps the key for them. But also trying to get at the mix right for the substrate to get healthy larvae, and strong larvae. Because like they're adult beetles, super easy to keep
Yeah.
and stuff. And people love them because they bumble around and you touch them, they they suddenly throw themselves on their back on their side and play dead, and they'll sit like that for hours.
Yeah.
Things. So they're great little things and they're fun little things. But there's a few of us that are like, we need to try and get these captive bred kind of thing, because like we see a lot of coming over sort of thing, and at some point they're going to stop it.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
But again, they are, as that sort of thing I've certainly seen over the years. Certain things become very popular for a bit, and then suddenly they're all the rage kind of thing, and they're something that a lot of people tend to be asking for. And something I've seen a lot more at the moment. People asking like, "Oh, they're blue Defanium beetles anywhere available and stuff," and it's all like, "Yeah, they're coming over in May," sort of thing. Is when they come over.
Yeah.
They'll probably see a surge of people getting blue Defanium beetles again.
Yeah. Crazy.
Ooh. Thank you, Shelley. Shelley has just joined as a member.
Nice.
Level. Thank you.
Nice.
Awesome.
I've got a question for you. So obviously, most people's, including myself, go-to for like the cleanup crew in a reptile enclosure is your isopods and your springtails. Are there any others that are quite good for? So, say for example, a royal python enclosure. Are there any others like that are sort of out of the norm that are quite good for a cleanup crew that maybe won't eat live plants, or are they sort of the go-tos?
They're often the go-tos. So this is right. This is my take. I tend to not like to call anything bioactive because I find most of the things that people say are bioactive aren't. Thing. And most people just chuck in a tub of springtails and some isopods and go, "Oh, it's bioactive." That hasn't developed yet.
Yeah.
And stuff. I mean, like this tank here, I'm going to be redoing this one. It's just plants in there at the moment. I don't call that bioactive, and that's been planted up for about 3 years.
Yeah.
I've got a bigger one. Planted up for 3 years. I've only the other month. I haven't even released a video yet. Put millipedes into there because I wanted the plants to fully establish first and stuff. And then I've started to add something that's going to be a mixed invert sort of tank and stuff. Oh, cheers, Leah. Leah's put £2 on the chat just to call me a poo. Thanks, Leah. You're a poo too. So, but yeah, in terms of like custodians and sort of cleanup crew. I mean, in terms of arid, you got things like your Poseionides prognosis isopods, because they'll take sort of humidity as well as arid. There are some arid springtails.
Okay.
There's an arid species of springtail. I've never used them myself because otherwise, your regular springtails, you need to keep at least one area kind of, fairly moist for more drier sort of setups and stuff. With things like raw pythons, you could use some of the other Porcelio species. The problem is sometimes I don't tend to recommend certain Porcelios, especially things like Lavis derico. I don't tend to recommend as a custodian within a lot of this because they're very protein hungry.
All right.
Very protein hungry. I mean, a raw python, you would need an army of them to do any damage to a raw python, but I've certainly seen footage. It was harrowing footage of someone's crested gecko being eaten by Derical isopods.
Oh my god!
And someone was like, "Oh wow!" Someone I know actually sent me footage just of his colony.
Yeah.
And he chucked in a chicken carcass, and they cleared it. It was just covered in these. I was like, "Oh my god!" No wonder you've got so many, and they're so big. Another thing was like, he was like, "Yeah, I do." He was like, "I don't do this often." He was like, "They'll get a chicken carcass maybe like once a year or something," but like they were swarming that thing. And it was like, damn.
It sounds similar to the beetles that people use to
devastating beetles.
That's it. Yeah. That's crazy.
And so, but they're so protein. Like my dairy cows, if say. I've got got some guys sticking sex. If one dies, and I know it's fairly fresh, I'll chop that in with the dairy cows, and they'll hammer it.
Wow!
And it's got within an hour, that's gone.
Yeah.
There's nothing left. Another thing, because they're just like, yes, protein. Another thing.
Wow. Okay.
Their main protein source things like dead fish and fish flake and stuff, and
Yeah.
so like dried fish. So again, they'll clear it and stuff. So, but I mean, yeah, we've been saying lobworms. I've used things like in snake ribs, things like moria worms and stuff, and now the beetles come out and allow them to emerge as beetles and stuff. The only thing I would say is don't do my mistake, which I done years ago, and use them in a regular like melamine viv, because they will eat the viv.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, okay.
That was an interesting one. Once I was redoing a viv and took out all the substrate, and then was all like, hang on a minute, there's no bottom to this. Not really. The bottom's very spongy. What's going on? And I was like, they've eaten pretty much the entire bottom of this viv. Okay.
Oh, whoops. Okay.
So yeah, that's it. The only thing with moria worms, if they start breeding in vivs, they will.
But would they not eat the live plants though, or do they not? Is that not something they'd eat?
These didn't.
Okay.
The plants were well established enough, kind of thing. You got. I think some of it. I think it depends on the size of the enclosure.
Mm-hmm.
How you do as well, like some people put things in like some beetles, Pacnoda, Marginata peregrina in.
Yeah.
And things like larvae will eat plant roots.
Yeah.
But if you do it in a way where they can't get access to those plant roots,
mm-hmm.
then they're not going to. Or if you make sure that substrate's got enough food in there
Yeah,
for them, that they're not going to go for the plant roots.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. You're more likely to sort of get away with it, kind of thing, and stuff. I know. Well, in terms of raw pythons, a friend of mine, Jamie, Norwich Reptile Shed.
Mm-hmm.
He bought some olive millipedes off me ages ago, and he stuck those in with his raw pythons.
That was an idea that has come to mind as well. To be fair, I think that would be really cool.
And it wasn't necessarily like they weren't in there as like cleanup crews, just something else to add.
Yeah, because I think they're from. Are they from the same sort of range as well?
They're from Ghana.
Yeah. So that's definitely come to my mind as well. To be fair, and I think it was Jamie that I saw do that, and it does look cool. I love millipedes anyway. Like I say, I'm adamant that I'm going to get a giant, but I do like the olives as well. They are cool.
And sometimes for me, it's I feel like actually I'm not putting these in here as like the cleanup. I'm putting these just as an additional to the enclosure. I still need to feed these and clean these out, and stuff. And provide for those as well as kind of thing, everything else. And then but then also in the back of my mind, it may not work.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of have that plan B of if it doesn't work, right, I need to take that out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that in zoos as well with for mixed species enclosures and stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Andrew.
I've also seen I've seen some beetles mixed in with raw pythons, and that's looked good and been fine.
Yeah.
So, but it's also a thing sometimes perhaps going perhaps a bigger enclosure than you was going to initially to allow for that extra space for extra animals.
Yeah, definitely. But I do like the idea of having a little ecosystem going on.
Absolutely. It's easier to do in very much tropical, humid, sort of rainforest sort of style enclosures. Much easier, much easier to do.
Yeah,
but it's definitely doable in in other ones in grassland style. It's just looking at that sort of that ecosystem, trying to pair up will this work? Will these species work and stuff? In tropical, you got things like your dwarf white isopods. They're up there as one of the best because they'll dwarf purples as well. They'll aerate the soil and stuff, and do a bit. They'll get everywhere, and every tank will have them. And stuff. But it's because they're pathogenic, and their eggs will fit under your fingernail, and you won't realise it. And so you just end up transferring them around.
Which ones are these? Sorry,
dwarf white isopods.
Okay,
they're tiny.
Yeah.
2 mils.
Wow. Okay.
But all the decaying matter and stuff.
Nice.
Um,
Okay.
and you can even do certain mixes with different isopods as well. Armadillidiums are pretty good. So as a genus. See you, Visions. Cheers for joining. Your shameless plug. Where is your shameless plug?
There's 2 messages above.
2 messages above.
About selling olive millipedes.
Oh, yeah. So do I there. Actually, I don't at the moment. I will be. So.
Well, I'll definitely have to come to one of you two. Whenever I'm ready, whoever's got some first, I'll have to. I'll definitely have to speak to one of you to get a few.
So, as well as I'm a bit. I think, but one of my biggest kind of bugbears as an isopod person and stuff as well. I'll see at shows online or whatever where people sell kind of bioactive kits.
Yeah.
And it always includes Derical isopods.
Yeah.
And I think your Lavis Derical, which I mean they're fantastic. They're one of my favourites.
Yeah.
So because they are brilliant. But they're not the most suitable for that sort of thing. It's like that, that your bioactive should be your dwarf whites and stuff. Cheers, Paul.
See you later, Paul. Take it easy, mate.
It's good to see you again yesterday as well. So, but I guess experimenting with different things.
I did put some worms in with my Tokay because her substrate is like 6 to 8 inches deep.
Yep.
The problem with that is I have no idea if they survived. I have no idea if they're still going, but the plants seem to be thriving. I don't know if they've got something to do with it. If they are still alive, I'm not sure whether to add more. But don't the worms have to have like a certain depth of substrate for it to be beneficial? If that makes sense. Should it be a certain?
I mean, in case as long as that's plants growing, they'll be doing stuff anyway. And I mean, another thing actually I find people don't take into account is that you need to refresh that substrate every so often with stuff because sometimes because the plants do so well, they're not necessarily dropping dead leaves all the time or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they're not they're not being replenished with nutrition sort of things. And it's something I was kind of got sort of taught someone said about it. It was like that makes so much sense. Was that this was like treat it a bit like an aquarium just without water. Of that aquariums you do water changes every now and then, sort of thing. And the soil, the substrate, that's your filter.
Yeah.
Well, you clean the filter every now and then. Sort of thing. And even change the filter media every now and then. It's like, well, actually, we should do the same with the substrate. Sort of thing. And it's not just a case of, it's out, it's now bioactive, I don't need to change anything now. Actually, constantly changing things. Taking a bit out, and putting some more back in and stuff for it. And I mean, it's constantly evolving, and it's I always find it quite funny when people kind of panic because a mushroom grows. I was like, actually, that's a good sign if a mushroom is growing because they're showing that you've got a nice healthy soil.
No, I try and like every time. So I've got a pothos in there, for example, and if I see that the leaves, a couple of them have died, I'll just whack them straight on the floor. As in the enclosure, I'll put them down there because I know that something in there wants to eat it, and it's gonna create, like you say, more for the soil to take in as well. And I do try and sort of top up the leaf litter as well because I know it's not just there for decoration. It does look good. I do like a bit of leaf litter, but I know that there's more to it than just it looks nice. So I do try and do things like that. But I am really trying to sort of incorporate more into, like I say, like I'm trying to make ecosystems. I know there's a lot more to bioactive than meets the eye. But like we say, just having millipedes in with a royal python, I think that's so cool. I think that's incredible. Maybe some sort of species of isopod in there with them as well, just to have something else. Because there's the thing with the royals is, as much as I like them, they are a sort of species that is very difficult or very rare to see them out during the day. So if I'm looking in this enclosure and I see a couple of millipedes, plodding about, and then I look under the leaves and I see some isopods, it's just that little bit of extra excitement. You know what I mean? So, and it's
Absolutely.
safe and doable. So I do like the idea of that, to be fair.
Absolutely. Great. So added interest in the things. And, and that's one of the things that got, so getting me really into the isopods is that I was adding them into enclosures. I found myself watching them more than the main animals sometimes. It's like, they're doing stuff.
Yeah. I know there was a time when I had some, was it powder oranges? I think they were. And and they were in with, again, one of my royals. She was hidden, but I saw them walking around and like going underneath the water bowl and then back out again and then walking around. And they are really cool. It's just because obviously, as we know, the more interest you have in something and the more you enjoy something, the more you're going to look after it. It's like a kid getting a hamster. They're excited for the first part, but then when they realize that hamster's asleep all day and only comes out at night, they get bored and it gets ignored for the rest of its very short life. So I'm not saying that's what I do with the royals, but it's just using it an example that actually the more interest you've got in something, the more you're going to look after it, for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, catties.
Hello, Catty.
So, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I remember years ago I'd done a tank. It was life planted tank, mixed species tank, inspired by enclosure. I saw another zoo. I was like, that's awesome. I want to do something similar.
Yeah,
not exactly the same, because I was like, I'm not going to get something big enough for every single species of this. But I was able to do something for what I had, and I was able to add to it. Like, I'd like to add this, and did. So it was a mixed species of Phelsuma grandis.
Nice.
So giant Madagascar day geckos.
Yeah.
False tomato frogs.
Nice.
Hissing cockroaches.
Wow.
And millipedes.
That's cool.
All in one big enclosure.
That's
it was
really cool.
An enclosure I saw that was the grandis, false tomato frogs, had roaches in, and had panther chameleons.
Wow.
But I was like, I'm not going to do one that's big enough to include chameleons.
Yeah.
We had panther chameleons. We still got panther chameleons, but I was like, no, that's going to take a too bigger enclosure. That's going to be too expensive to include that as well as all these kind of thing. But it was awesome. And yes, the day geckos and the frogs would eat the occasional hissing cockroach. Those are only ever the young ones.
Yeah.
So when the adults they left alone, the millipedes they left alone.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it worked. I mean, it's no longer. I mean, the day geckos are still going, and then now what? We're coming up for 20 years old.
Oh wow!
Kind of thing. Pair of them used to breed them, don't breed them anymore. Sort of thing. Well, I tried to not breed them, and they still bred. Kind of thing. To hide their eggs up and stuff, and had day geckos everywhere. So,
I mean, to be fair,
because there's always something going on in that enclosure.
Yeah,
the day geckos would be out, and then sometimes you'd see a day gecko, and next to it would be a hissing cockroach, pretty much the same size.
Crazy.
And just chilling, just sitting next to each other. That's cool.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, it's like, to be fair, one of the ideas I do have for this next enclosure build that I'm doing is not only a royal python, but the small Cameroonian day geckos. Because again, they're from the same range. They are from the same area. They're too small for the royal to be interested in eating it. It's too small. Yep. The snake isn't going to be interested in a gecko that's that big. So again, it's just added interest. It's added, it's a little ecosystem. You're creating a piece of nature. Like I wouldn't do something where the snake could potentially eat the animal, because again, that's where you start sort of borderline cruel. This is something me and Paul spoke about the other day on that live stream. I think you were there as well, with the like cohabbing of animals.
Yeah.
If there's predator and prey, where do you draw the line? But I'm happy to do royal pythons with day geckos, because like the Cameroonian, because they're just not going to bother. They're just absolutely not going to bother, and you've just got this.
And the geckos are going to be far too quick, even if they were.
Exactly.
Bothered.
Yeah. So, exactly.
But I think another benefit of that is that's enrichment for both those species.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Again, they get animals get a lot of enrichment from seeing conservatives and and stuff. So I'm all for that. As it's also something I recommend, obviously, to someone just starting out.
Yeah, of course.
Kind of thing.
Of course.
And that then goes back to the whole thing of where people just berate people and like, oh my god, you can't cohab, and there's times and places for it. And stuff, and you got to really do your research and have your backup plan in place and stuff. We're doing zoos, doing Europe. I mean, same Roman over in Germany, where he's got spilotes mixed with dart frogs.
Wow.
It looks awesome. So these big old spilotes, Amazon puffin snakes, and dart frogs, and he's got photos of the dart frogs just eating springtails off the spilotes' back.
It's crazy. See, that's it. It can be done. Like, obviously, it's got to be done safely. It's got to be done, and like you say, you've got to have that backup plan, things like that. But it's not as simple as no cohab bad. It's not as simple as that. And like you say, we wouldn't recommend it to people just starting out. You've got to do your research and have the backup. But I think if it can be done properly, it can be done really well. So I genuinely, again, like, I keep thinking about this new enclosure build that I'm doing and things I want to do for it. And I do realize that I probably will get some stick from some people, like the whole cohab bad brigade. And that's fine. That's fine, because I know in myself, I know in my heart that what I'm doing isn't dangerous. Again, like I say, if I was to house predator and prey, I'd feel a bit, maybe they've got, maybe they're right having a go. But in this instance, absolutely no problem. And I can use it as education, because again, that's what I want to do. I want to help with education. We all start somewhere. This isn't something I'd say, oh, you've just got your first snake, whack some geckos in there as well. It's not as simple as that.
No.
But here's what we can get to, So yeah, I can't wait. Like, I genuinely, I find myself, I have to watch stuff on Netflix before I go to sleep, because my mind is just running a mile a minute. I'm just thinking about the next project, the next thing I want to do, the next upgrades, and I have to sit there and just watch something until I'm tired enough to fall asleep. But it's crazy. It's an obsession, but it's a good one.
That's it. Night, Aaron. There we go. They just put Andrew's an awesome guest. Love this.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if chat has any other kind of, perhaps just any questions as the last few days. Actually 10:10 already.
Yeah, to be fair, we've been going for over 2 hours now. Crazy.
So, is what I always love when the time just completely flies by.
Yeah, for sure.
Steve Doe wants to run a border enclosure for Royals. That would be so cool. Yeah,
I can promise you they will utilize it. I promise you. Like,
I still need to get over to James. Jamie's only about an hour or so away from me.
Yeah,
and he keeps saying like, "Oh, come over," sort of thing. I'm like, I need to. So we need to organize. Every time I'm hit his way at the moment, it's always when he's working and stuff. So it's I was like near his the other day, and I was like, "Are you working?" I was like, "Oh, he's going to be working, isn't he?" Need to properly organize. I'm like to go and actually see his role with, and I think Jim's Reptile Jungle. I don't know if you're familiar with him. I think he's got like a 6 foot tall role with as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
And or at least did, and utilize.
They will use it. They will. Like I say, there's times that I come into this reptile room at night and I check on everyone, see what they're doing, and I promise you, 9 times out of 10, the snakes are up high, because I try and put as many climbing opportunities as I can, and 9 times out of 10, they're as high up as they can get. I mean, one of them recently has decided to pull a lot of the cables out and hang on the cables instead of his branches. Cheers for that, mate.
Joys. What had that happen?
Honestly, I'm looking at them now and they're just looped, and I'm like, why? Oh, but he's climbing at least. But yeah, they will definitely use it. So yeah, that would be cool. That would be very cool.
Guys, can't wait to see how next project goes. Crab Talk is so interesting.
Yeah, it's living rent free in my head at the minute. I'll make no mistake about it. The thought is living rent free in my head because, like I say, you do get the people that say no, cohab bad, no, don't do it. But at what point do we stop? Are we at a point now in the hobby where we go, right, we've done everything, we understand everything, we stop here, this is where we plateau? Or is it going to take a few people to pioneer and try some new things and test for the next generation? Because that's how we improve, that's how we better our care, and you have to do it sensibly. Again, this isn't me saying cohab your pet rat with a royal python, because that isn't going to work. But we have to do little things as long as it's safe and we know we can do it to try. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to this build.
As in, and don't get me, I mean, one of the things we need to use more within Bioza and we have actually a mixed species sort of database and kind of tool kind of thing of what's worked and what hasn't worked and stuff. Regarding reptiles and stuff, because a lot of zoos that's what we do, mix a lot of species in together and stuff, because one we need to create interest for the public kind of thing, create that sort of dwell time and stuff. And there's actually a talk on that this year at AHH actually. I want to keep some training on and even just what works for one species might not work for a very similar species.
They
had examples of that, of their helodermas. What worked for their, I think it was like what worked for their beaded lizards didn't work with their Gila monsters, or vice versa. It was one of the ways anyway of mixing species in. One worked and one very much didn't. And they're like, okay, we learned from that.
But that's and the way you say it, it's literally spot on. Like the only way to find out whether it'll work or not is to try it. You don't know until you know. That's the thing. So I think it's great. Like I say, as long as we're not, like I say, if you're just starting out in your reptile journey, don't start with things like that. But and again, I'm not an expert. I'm not like I'm up here like I'm an advanced keeper, blah blah blah. But I've been doing it enough and I've been researching enough, and I know the right people around me, yourself included, to know maybe what could work and what's a good idea and what's not. So, and like I say, we don't know until we know.
That's it. And it, and especially when it comes to a completely mixed taxa as well. I mean, kind of work with we don't anymore. But when we had green iguanas, had a pair of green iguanas that lived together, we then introduced pygmy marmosets in with them. And so we had green iguanas and pygmy marmosets living together, and it worked.
That's cool.
Sort of thing.
That's really cool.
If the iguanas didn't want the marmosets near them, they just bobbed their heads, and they kind of learned. The marmosets learned that if they bob their head, okay, we'll go away. Sort of thing. And stuff. And they had their their separate feeding areas and stuff, and didn't want and stuff. And they the most interaction they sort of really had with each other was that they would look at each other. Kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing. Like the animals are a lot more intelligent than we give them credit for. These animals don't have to talk or speak the same language to understand what could potentially happen. They know what they're doing. So, I don't think a lot of people give them enough credit. So, yeah. They had healers and chucklewalas in the same enclosures. That's cool.
So we don't know what we know in the hobby. For instance, wild boss spend time up in trees. I told Steve about that today. That I think it was an Animals at Home podcast once with a boss wanted to breed, and just talking about going out into the wild and seeing them up trees for part of the year.
Crazy.
They're up trees for part of the year, underground for part of the year, and part of the year. So it's just like cool. So they're arboreal, fossorial, and terrestrial at the same time.
You end up just rewriting the book, don't you? Let's just cross out everything we thought we knew and start again. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. Yeah, no, I'm hoping to do AHH next year. I did enjoy it last year. But
we'll just get pull her bosks. In the dry season, males retreat up trees. So there we go.
Crazy. They're too skinny to defend themselves. Crazy.
but goes back to you buy one, you never get told that.
Yeah, no. You don't need anything tall. You just need it long, which is true to an extent. But again, this is why, because I saw one recently that someone was like,
Bye, Jackie.
Bye, Jackie. I don't know if like I was scared because the branch in my beardy enclosure, I thought it might be too vertical, so I put it down again and blah blah blah. My beardies have got literally vertical logs, and one of them especially, the male, like he's at the bottom, he will sleep vertically. He will cling on to this log, and he will fall asleep overnight just hanging vertically. And he is absolutely fine. He loves it. I remember, and then with the female, I didn't put her a vertical one until quite recently because her enclosure was a bit too small. Upgraded her, put her a vertical log. I'll find her up there. She loves it. She absolutely loves it. It's incredible. And again, like a good one to follow for the beardies is Frizy on Instagram, because he shows wild beardies. He's out in the outback in Australia. Do you know how often he finds beardies just like 10 foot up in trees? It's crazy. Like, and they're vertical. They love it.
Yeah.
So it's.
But it's the same when Beardy Vet he done a talk on beardies at AHH a couple of years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah. It's meant to be like a 40-minute tour, ended up being 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Because like even though it was like, did we stop it? And like, well, please don't. We'd rather miss other stuff because this is really interesting. Sort of thing, might be, was meant to be a basic reptile kind of thing, but it was like super interesting. They had all this footage of him, catching wild bearded dragons, and every single one was vertical on a tree, and he's just grabbing it like that sort of thing. And he's like pretty much never find them on the ground.
Yeah,
I think always up trees and up bushes. Spoke about the various burrows that they do and stuff. He spoke about their hibernation. So it was a really, really interesting talk by him.
Yeah.
There. And even dietary. He did poke fun at the whole vinyl flooring brigade.
Yeah.
Of where he went like, oh look, this is the substrate they're on in the wild. Look at this. This is compacted sand with a bit of loose sand on top. Other thing, and where people are like, yeah, but it's not play sand, is it? It's not quartz sand. So he actually sent some off to the lab when it came back. Oh, look, it's like 90% quartz sand. Oh, well, why is it red? Oh, that's because of all the iron ore. If you wash it, look, it's no longer red.
Unbelievable. Yeah, but this just comes back around to what we were saying. We don't know until we know, basically, and we have to keep. We try these things. We try and emulate nature. But there will be naysayers. There will be people trying to say, no, we've done enough. No, this is exactly how you do it step by step. But yeah, there's more to it than that for sure. And I don't think in some instances, not all, in some instances, there isn't a right or wrong. It's not always black and white.
No. And the thing is, well, I mean, something that inverts have certainly sort of taught me is what works for one person in their house may not work for another person in their house, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's certainly true for inverts. I've got some inverts that even just changing shelf, I have to change the husbandry to how I've kept them before. Just that little tiny change, kind of thing, can drastically change how it affects that enclosure, kind of thing sometimes. And stuff. And so it's always sometimes difficult. That's why I'm always like, well, this is how I do it. This is what works in my flat, in my care, but it may not work for you.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. When it comes to, the emerald roaches or some of the ice pods, or whatever. It's like, this is what's working for me, but this is my conditions that I've got. But I know what some I suppose if I'm literally move them onto a different shelf, they perhaps would fail. They'd perhaps crash. On me just by moving them.
Guidelines over rules in some instances. Guidelines are good. Rules sometimes don't apply.
That's it. And unpopular opinion, beardies shouldn't be beginner species. I kind of agree, because I think beardies are fantastic, but they, in my opinion, more space than what people tend to give them.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah.
4x2x2, is that really big enough for an adult beardie? Probably not. I mean,
Yeah.
So especially when you see, they do love to climb.
Yeah.
So the more I see that, the more, if I was to ever get reptiles again myself, it'd be a much bigger enclosure and taller enclosure for something. I love beardies.
Yeah.
I think rankins are better than beardies because
Mm.
they're a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So actually, think they're a bit nicer looking as well. I think they've got more patterning on them. Rankins.
They are quite cool. Rankins are quite cool. I've never had them personally, but I've seen them and they are pretty cool.
Parents got both. They got beardies, which are always all their beardies are rehomed beardies. So they're like, we'll never buy them anymore. We'll just rehome ones because they always come up for rehoming.
Yeah.
But then, they got Rankins dragons just so that, because they do all the displays, so they can show the difference between them. Like, look, this is an adult Rankins compared to an adult beardie.
Yeah.
Does the same thing, but it's smaller.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bit easier to the howls kind of thing. So. Beginner speak. But and the same can go for almost again any kind of animal industry. Unfortunately, some things, it's always the ones that tend to be more hardy to suboptimal conditions.
Yeah, they can survive more punishment, basically.
Yeah, they get labelled as the beginner species. Same in the tarantula hobby, same in the scorpion hobby. So it's the same in every single, especially exotic side of thing, but everything. And then people go, well, I don't know, because they're just a beginner species, so then they become really underrated. Kind of thing. It's like, actually, they're some of the best species.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I adore my leopard gecko. I think she's incredible. She is lumped in as a beginner species, but and then a lot of people say, "Oh, they're boring." I honestly, I adore that leopard gecko. She's incredible. She's so cool. But a lot of people who consider themselves more advanced won't get one because they think they're boring and for kids. It's not as simple as that. Like, it's still it's a sentient animal. It's a living thing. So and I agree. I agree.
And that's where I go, like, kind of, I just, people, if I'm just on like, oh, are you an advanced keeper? It's actually how you keeping your animal. It doesn't matter what the animal is.
Yeah.
Right? For me, an advanced keeper is someone that's, their leopard gecko is in this, perhaps a huge, nice planted, big, almost like, perhaps a biotype or something. I don't do biotypes myself. But if someone has got, I'll be like, you're advanced. You've got a biotype or an animal.
Yeah.
And you absolutely adore the animal, whether it be a leopard gecko.
Yeah.
But that to me is far more advanced than someone who's, got a cobra in a drawer.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts, my friend. Yeah.
To me, that's more advanced. I do an advanced keeper, and that no, you've got a cobra in the drawer. No, that's boring.
Basically, just because the animal is alive doesn't mean you're doing it properly.
Yeah, and doesn't mean
I've been in that situation. I've kept animals alive, but I wasn't doing it properly, and that's what it's all about. It's all about advancing it.
Again, we've all been there. I've certainly been there.
Yeah.
So, and if we're honest, most of us, if we're honest, we've all been there.
Yeah,
and then we've learned from it and we've grown from it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll never hide that fact as well. I'm always very open with the things I've done wrong, because mainly I want people to learn from my mistakes without going through them anyway. If I can stop someone doing something I did wrong, then there's an animal that's probably going to have a better start to life than mine did.
That's it. Learn, study, grow, get what you want. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, Lover beardie was between them and Blue Tongue Skink. When they started narrowing down first reptile and end up choosing a skink. Blue Tongues are fantastic things as well. I love a Blue Tongue.
And also, Larry is a legend. That Blue Tongue is incredible. Shout out Larry. But yeah, mine's Dobby, and he's doing quite well. He's doing well. He's, like I say, when we first got him, we didn't see him at all, always hidden, and that's fine. It was to be expected. But slowly, it's all about just being there, being present, offering food. You don't have to try and grab them and hold them.
Right.
And now earlier on, he was at the glass. I saw him. I'd just boiled the kettle anyway, whipped up some Omni Gold quickly, let it cool down, and he ate it directly off of the spoon. No, he sort of went to run away when I opened the glass, but when he saw I had food, fine. He was there. The way to any animal's heart is through the stomach, for sure. Well, and mine as well, to be fair. But
most of us.
yeah.
Some tasty food, like, you're not so bad. You give me tasty food.
But yeah, be present, be there, be patient, and it'll come good.
As in, I mean, that goes. Yeah, I use that with a lot of that. I use that with the rhino iguana at work. So when she first arrived, again, she would hide up within the enclosure and not come out. She started, she was practicing, start venturing, but as soon as she heard me come into the building, she would instantly hide and stuff. And it was just a case of allowing her to do what she needed to do. And whenever I was going in the enclosure, I would just talk to her.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Didn't matter what it was about. And some people were like, "What are you talking to?" I was like, "Oh, the iguana. She's hiding at the moment. But I'm just talking to But it's just that I'm letting her know I'm here." They're like, "Oh, does she understand?" No, she hasn't got a clue what I'm saying. I can say absolutely anything. It's just that she then knows there's a presence there. She can hear me. In the calm, happy voice or whatever to try and but across. And eventually she started then peering her head out, and now you go in and she's climbing on you, sort of thing. And stuff. And like,
so good.
if she's in a bad mood, she'll let me know. She'll bob her head, and I'm like, "Yep, out I'll go." So she's got that little bit of control as well.
Yeah. And trust as well.
I can like go in there and just sometimes like, "Oh, I've got a spare 5 minutes." I'll go in and perhaps I'll sit in with her, and we'll just sort of say she'll just sometimes come up and just put her head on my knee or something, just for a bit of a scratch, or just sit there.
That's incredible.
Like, that's what it's about. Again, that trust. That she wants that. That attention. She's mischievous as well. The other week, I had a volunteer in there, and ended up going in there, emptying out her water, and she was just spread out across on their back. They're like, "What do I do?" I was like, "There we go. I'm coming and Carol." Sort of thing. She's like, "Hello, I've trained this human."
That's incredible.
So, I was like to get something like that from something like a rhino iguana.
It
was fantastic. Yeah, when the first ride, I was the only one that was like, "Oh yeah, she's beautiful." She's going to be. All her role keepers from the previous zoo were like, "Oh, she's horrible," and this and the other. She chases people. She tries to buy and this and that. And now they're like, "Yeah, look," and they're like, "You broke her. What did you do?" I was like, gave her time, and allowed her to make decisions." Sort of thing. And didn't rush things. And it probably took about 3 years to get to that point. And now it's like probably one of my favorite animals that I work with.
Yeah, that's incredible, mate. I love that.
Oh, well, actually, it's now at 10:30, so I am gonna cut the stream now, because they actually said I'd probably go to about 10, which I normally do because I'm working. I've gone to 10:30, but it's been fantastic. Certainly have to have it on again.
Mate, it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, I'll come on again. I'll have to get you over on mine at some point as well, for sure.
Yeah, leave me a message. We'll organise something. Definitely about that.
Definitely. No, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate it, Phil. Thank you.
But we'll hopefully see you at one of the invert shows soon. If not, I'll probably see you at the IHS one, because I'll be there.
Cool. Looking forward to it, mate.
If you're going to be there. I won't have anything for sale myself, but my parents do all the cuddly toys and stuff there.
Nice. I'll have to get something for the little ones.
There goes this for some reptile and invert themed cuddly toys.
That's it. Yeah. Got to start with something.
They've now got lace monitor cuddly toys, actually.
Well, there you go. The writing's on the wall.
It's either lace monitor or Parenti. They've got one or two. It's either lace monitor or Parenti cuddly toys that they've recently got in.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you to everyone in the chat as well. I have been sort of keeping an eye on the comments. You've all been very nice.
everyone for watching, especially been here from the start.
Yeah, legends.
Do go and check out Andrew on his. I'll put your links back in chat for one final time, but they should be in the description
Legend.
of the
Thank
stream
you,
as well. Go and check
Yeah.
out on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, look, Paul's upset. He didn't see the cuddly parentes.
Oh yeah, they got them in, and they're like digi printed as well, whatever. So it's like digital print of like the pattern. They look really cool.
Class.
So and YouTube. So yeah, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Go and check out Riddler Reptiles on all the platforms.
I'm mostly active on Instagram and YouTube. Instagram's mostly daily. I try and do at least a video a week or a live stream on YouTube. So TikTok, as and when I can.
I'm going to TikTok's as and when I feel like it for TikTok.
Yeah.
My main thing is YouTube. So Instagram is sort of like if I feel I have something I can post on Instagram or whatever. It's normally if I do a TikTok, I'm like, I'll post it as a reel as well or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I've got something, but yeah. I see. Oh, yeah. Well, thanks again, everyone, and we'll say good night.
Peace out.